This is a Lazy Teacher Podcast.
Welcome back to Lazy Teacher Podcast. My name is Brian Pulowski. This is episode 48, Tom Gronotte. In this episode, I had the privilege of sitting down with a very good friend of mine, Tom Gronotte. He was my principal for a long time. If you go back into previous episodes, any reference to Mr. G, that's the guy right there. So, yeah, anyways, I've known him. Let me think. Now I got to really go back and think about this. I'd only been a teacher for 3 years, and I was actually going to quit teaching, and then I taught summer school. This is back when my school district had summer school. I wish we did now. It's such a cool job to have. Catches kids up too, but anyways, that's besides the point. And Mr. G, Tom was my principal at summer school, and we hit it off right away. And it's a long story on how we got to working together, but in the end, he essentially did save my career. At that time, I had a little baby boy, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. I was going to go back into working with my dad, and I think we touch on that in the episode. But anyways, I ended up going to work for Mr. G, and I kind of followed him around to different schools, and we've been together forever. In this past year, he moved to a different school, which is great because he's making a huge impact over there, and it sounds like the school maybe needed a little bit of a change, so he is the perfect change for that. And so this is the first year that I have not been working with Tom as my principal. Got lucky, got very fortunate because we have a great principal that took over his position. But man, you want to talk about big shoes to fill? My new principal has very big shoes to fill, and she's doing a great job so far. So I'm very happy for that. But anyways, very glad that I had Mr. G on the show. Man, we had a great time. He and I could talk forever. The episode's 3 hours long. You know what I mean? And he and I could have gone for 5 hours. He's just that kind of guy. And he's so easy to talk to, and he's just amazing. He's an amazing, amazing principal. I know you guys are going to get so much out of this episode. It's just, he's funny, he's knowledgeable, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just a great man. He was a great principal, and he still is a great principal. Very stoked that he came on the show. So without further ado, here he is, Tom Gronotte.
And went to school and got my degree and went into teaching and taught for 8 years, and then became an administrator.
When did you decide to teach? Was that in junior college?
You know what got me into no. After I finished in that same town, I was living with my girlfriend's family, and the next door neighbor, her name was Pam Briggs, and she was a 4th grade teacher. And I was out back then again, of course, everybody's out in the cul-de-sac, everybody's playing, and there was me out there throwing the ball, throwing the football at the kids. And I was going to school actually for business, like my dad's business, all my family's kind of business, or, that kind of thing. Anyways, she's going, God, you're so good with kids, man. Why don't you go into teaching? And I go, as a student, I really did. The last thing I ever thought of was I'm going to be a teacher. And I wasn't a bad student, but that wasn't something that was really on the top of my A list.
Right.
But she said, you know what, why don't you just come with me and come to my classroom and just hang out for a bit. And so I did. And she was an amazing, very creative, very innovative teacher and this was a long time ago. This 30 some years ago. And so went to her room, and then I basically changed my major because of her. And then I did my student teaching with her. Wow. So I know you had a student teacher on in one of your most recent episodes.
Did you get to pick her as your master teacher?
Well, she worked it out. Yeah, we worked it out.
How perfect.
Oh yeah. So and she really taught me a lot, and so I did that with her in 4th grade. I did a 4th grade placement with her, and then a 2nd grade placement at a different school that I used to do a lot of subbing at, and then got a teaching job right after that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
That is really cool. Do you remember when you gave me a student teacher? I talked about this on, I think, 2 episodes ago. It didn't last long because she was very flaky. Not for me.
I don't remember.
You don't remember who she is?
Was that at Triple? Where was that at?
That was at LaSalle.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, did the student teaching thing, but you gotta. We've gone back a long way.
Yes.
Right. Triple Crown. Mm-hmm. So my early career was just teaching, and then got into administration. I tease people about. I did 15 years. I don't tease people. I tease myself. 15 years at middle school, and that's how I basically lost my hair.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
That was admin, though. You didn't teach middle, right?
Well, I did. I taught I taught at a middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade middle school, Winton Middle School. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, did that, and then I went into administration as an assistant principal at a junior high for 5 years, and then got a.
That was locally, right?
Well, up in the Central Valley where I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of your admin experience has been down here, right?
Well, all but 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, that's not true. All of about 8 years. Yeah. So came down, after things,
Life.
Life. Actually, my mom was down here, and she was getting the onset of. It wasn't dementia. She was just, or it wasn't Alzheimer's. It was dementia, and my sisters and I, and it was kind of a good way for me to kind of, help her, give back to her what she'd, that cycle came back. So
how long ago was that?
When
6 years ago?
For what?
I don't know that you were living with your mom, but you basically were
I
out
did.
there.
I did. I lived over in Huntington. It was a nice gig, living in Huntington Beach, taking care of her.
Yeah.
And I would commute back and forth to work to Triple Crown at that time. So that was a good 10 years ago. My mom's passed away it's been 9 years now. So it was at least, yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So it was good. So I lived over there, worked, and then we opened up Triple Crown, brand new middle school. Middle school, brand new elementary school. After working 1 year at Vista Verde Middle School,
okay.
While Triple Crown was being built, you probably don't remember this, but Triple Crown was being built. You were at Columbia, I think, elementary.
Yes.
And I worked at Vista Verde as the assistant principal for 1 year down here when I moved to Southern California. And then while Triple Crown, the brand new elementary school, was being built, and I was going to be the next principal of that school when it was completed, which it was done the next year, and we started a brand new school.
Yeah, I remember that. My friend Cindy Beltran worked at Columbia with me, and she was very excited to go to a brand new school. Mm-hmm. Little did she know she was going to work for you.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, you were very open with the staff about your personal life, and that was kind of neat because I remember those times with your mom, and I remember the staff, we used to talk like in a very nice, respectful way about how neat we thought it was that you were supporting your mom and you were out there all the time. And I think there was some times where it conflicted with something, and we knew it was because you were with your mom, and it just kind of goes to show, that's the type of principal you were, that you were very transparent about, this is what's going on in my life, and I have my mom that I'm helping out with, and that went over. That was big. I remember the staff loving that. That was a big part. What I do as administrator is the same thing how I lived my life, and that's family first. And as a principal or as an administrator, I've always told my staff, your family comes first. If something comes up, you take care of your family. I very rarely, in fact, never have denied any teacher for a leave or I got to do this because something comes up, because family is definitely first. And just taking care of my mom, it was funny because my mom, I'd leave her in the morning and, I'll be back, around 5, 6 o'clock, Mom. And, with dementia, she never didn't remember who I was or any of my 5 brothers and sisters. She all remembered all that. But every time I'd come home, she'd go, okay, now. It's so cute, so funny. Okay, so what do you do? And I go, Mom, I'm a principal. And she goes, you are? I go, yeah, Mom. And we'd have that same conversation every night. So cute.
But yeah, so she was very special. And like you were saying that, can't hide how your family is just your family, right? And And I always wanted to be up front with that. And just like I want my teachers to be up front with me about their situations. I mean, they don't necessarily have to get too personal, but give me enough to let me know, hey, this is why I'm late, or this is why I got to leave early, or this is why I'm going to be out. And I've always supported that. I've always been a big proponent of that. And I think over these years in Val Verde, especially down here in Southern California, the staffs that I've worked with, which has been Vista Verde and Triple Crown and Red Maple for 1 year, LaSalle for 8 years, and now at Bethune, they all even at Bethune, just a short time, they understand that I'm cool with family, because family's first.
Yeah, I can remember a time where I don't know that I was talking about a teacher, but I wasn't being very polite. And I do remember you pulling me to the side and saying, this teacher has some stuff going on in their personal life, and you need to consider that before you start judging them. And,
yeah.
So you were like really good at keeping a secret too. I mean, not that I asked. I respected that the teacher didn't want me to know,
right.
But
well, as administrators, especially as a principal, and if you gain, like right now at Bethune, after spending 8 years at LaSalle, which I just had fantastic years. I've had fantastic years everywhere I've been. I've been really blessed, because I love my job. You think about it. I always tell these things like, you drive into work and we watch people pass you on the road or on the freeway, and they just look so sad and so depressed and so bummed out about going to work. And I love going to work. I've always loved going, not just the challenges of the everyday administrative type work, but just the people and the connections and the inspiration and the motivation that I get to provide, and I get to kind of lead. And so I love going, and no day's the same. And so my job is, while there are some very stressful days, as we all know, and you come across some situations that are not so pleasant, but in general, it's just a fantastic. So I really, really thoroughly enjoy that. And then you hear a lot of things too when you get that trust, when you have your teachers and even the classified folks, all of the staff, if they see that, number one, that you're human, number two, that you're genuine, and number three, that you care, then they'll open up. And I mean, I've had teachers tell me some very, very, life-changing type situations in their life, and they know that they can trust that I won't say anything. And so guys like you, when you're judging people, have to say, wait a minute here, man, let's chill. You don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
And but
I felt embarrassed by that, but I do remember feeling just feeling a little bit stronger about you as a principal. That it was very nice of you to correct me, and I was embarrassed by that, but it was neat to oh wow, he clearly knows a lot about the staff that he's not sharing with everybody, and I can appreciate that. In fact, I remember the first year I came to work with you. I came into your office, and you're like, oh, welcome me, blah blah blah, and it's gonna be a great year, and glad you're glad blah 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And this just sweetheart of a kind of an older lady with this huge smile. Her name is Sonny Jefferson. Comes walking in the office, deep breath, back home again. And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "It's like we're contractually back at school, and here's a teacher that's feeling like she's back at home." And I love that. It's just.
Well, that's because you joined us the second year.
Correct.
So we opened Triple Crown. They're there for a year. You want to tell the folks how we connected and why?
We met at a summer school. In fact, I was about to quit teaching. I just wasn't working for me in the current administration. She was. It didn't work.
Yeah,
it didn't work. So I met you at summer school, and I remember I was doing some sort of math lesson with playing cards, and I was sitting on the floor, and you came in for an observation or whatever like that, and I almost looking back on it now, I feel like I was trying to get up, and you were like, no, it's fine.
Chill.
And you do your thing. Exactly. And we were doing multiplication or whatever. And I remember you talking to me afterwards and saying, hey, that was a neat lesson. Get them out of their seats. What a unique thing. And that's great. type of thing. I was like, oh, that's good to hear. I like hearing that from your
boss,
from my boss. I'm not
especially.
I'm not used to hearing this.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, I'm probably going to be quitting teaching or whatever.
Yeah.
And I wish I could work for you, type of thing. And they're like, hey, well, let's see what we could do.
So we pulled little strings and made it happen.
It was great.
Yeah, that was. Well, you know what? I helped you then, but over all these years, and your listeners do not have any idea of what we've done together and how you've helped me, and just in a variety of ways. We talk about affect. A lot of my school, as you know, is affect, culture and climate, positive and upbeat, and get the kids there and want them there and keep them there, and you are not shy, to say the least. And so, when we're doing something crazy, or I'm doing something crazy, you jumped right in and joined in, and the kids love it, and so I benefited from it. It's a symbiotic relationship.
I appreciate that.
I helped you, and you've helped me over all these years. Any technical type problems, our Student of the Week broadcast, the camera goes out on me in the middle of the broadcast. Call Pulowski, get him over here quick. You fix it, and off we go. So,
well, thank you.
But that was so that first year you mentioned Sonny Jefferson.
Yes.
And when I first came down and I opened that school, her husband was a principal in the district. Mm-hmm. And, I come in, I'm this young guy coming in, I'm just saying, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this and that. And she was just very reserved that first year, kind of just like waiting to see what's going to happen, and kind of see if this guy's this young buck's all talk. And I remember about halfway through the year, she said, I've been waiting. Mr. G, I've been waiting all this time for the shoe to fall off, and it never came off. Everything you said you've been doing, you're doing. Mm-hmm. I go, well, Sonny, that's how I am. Yeah. And, I developed a very good relationship with her. In fact, I spoke at her retirement when she retired. About a year later, she finished her. It's a beautiful thing. This is the nice thing about. I try to affirm teachers and kids all the time. I feed them barbecues and do this and recognize kids, and not that we do it because I don't do this for affirmation, but it was nice that that Sonny Jefferson, in her last year, and I spoke she asked me to speak at her retirement. She said that the last 3 years of her career were her best, and and as a veteran teacher, those years, it's sometimes and when she came in, like you saw her, and fresh of that air, that breathing, that new life. Mm-hmm. That's inspiring for me as an administrator, and if I can bring that to a school site and bring that to staff, and that's what I want. Like I was telling you earlier, that drive to school and your work, and you see the people who are bummed. I want my teachers coming for like, what are we going to do today with Mr. G? How are we going to help kids? And if I can create that environment, then we're halfway there.
That's a huge compliment to hear from Sonny too, because she's very she calls it as it is type of person.
Yeah, she didn't mess around.
Yeah, Sonny was awesome, but yeah, she was very she was with it. She was all about teaching, and you would have never guessed that she was getting ready to retire. It's like, you've been in the profession long enough, you could tell the teachers that are kind of just putting in a couple extra years just till they retire. And Sonny was never like that. She was all about it. Like, what can I learn? What are we taking on this year? And
that was the beauty. That's true, and especially those 3 years that we were at Triple Crown. Well, you were there too with me. Mm-hmm. I was there 3, and then I moved on to Red Maple. But that's with the new school. It was kind of like a new life for everybody. When you when you have brand new stuff, and you're thinking of the motto, and you're doing this, and you're creating fun activities, and just the way it's going to be. And to this day, after several principals that have been there after me. And and I know that we have many of our former colleagues still there who I communicate with regularly, as you do. We just saw a few,
of course,
just last week or so. It's nice that they some of those traditions and some of the things that we started long ago, 10, 11 years ago, that they're still in place. It's pretty cool.
It is really cool. I've been in the district for going on almost 15 years now, and there's no team like that original Triple Crown team. Like, everybody kind of just like smiles when we see each other, like, you remember those days. And
exactly. We knew what we had, and it was very special. And what was even more special for the kids And I go to Rancho Verde High School for different events, and I see some kids, and they, Mr. G, is that you, Mr. G? And I don't know which school, what school, where did I have you at? Was it LaSalle? Was it at Red Maple? And they go, oh no, yeah, I had you in 5th grade, and you were my principal, Triple Crown, and those memories that we built, that foundation, just. And they remember the softball game, that we had with the teachers versus the kids, and all the different things. I mean, a lot of schools do those kinds of things, but I don't know. For us, it always just seems like it had a little more meaning, a little more oomph.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember coming to Triple Crown, and you had Colt pride, because we were the Triple Crown Colts, and I remember just being amazed by that. Like, I'm like, this administration is taking like ownership of the school. Like, typically that's something in high school. They have pep rallies, and we're the Mustangs, and we're gonna, our football team's gonna win, and you brought it all the way down to like the K-5 grade levels, where you're like, no, we got Colt pride, and it was like Colt pride, and then you'd hear like 500 kids all clap. It was amazing. I was, oh, this is so cool. Yeah.
And we'd have our towels, our rally towels that said Colt pride.
That's right.
A lot of cool stuff. We enjoyed that, and that was always fun doing those. Remember the district welcome backs?
Of course.
Some of those fun, crazy things.
That was back when like it was a competition for who could have the highest API.
Yeah, well, that's basically what my job was built on. Is all administrators back then in the accountability system. It used to just be the AYP and the API, and then now it's shifted to the CASP and the accountability with the different abilities of kids to perform. We compete, but we collaborate. The Val Verde districts competition is just completely human, right? It's natural.
I think it's great.
I can't just say like I'm not gonna try to I mean I have a good friend, Corby Warren. He's a principal in the district, and he and I talk all the time, and we compete over who has the higher attendance percentage every month. And right now he's in. Last year 2 years ago I won it. We won it at LaSalle. Then he won it last year. Yeah. And he's on the verge of so we're competing. So competition's healthy, right? But we also collaborate. We also talk about how we're going to improve our scores, how we're going to help kids learn, how we're going to close the gap, how we're going to get kids to school on time and stay all day. And so we're always discussing those things, collaborating. But deep down, all of us have that competition. You just have to. I
think it's so healthy.
Yeah,
it's very healthy. Erica Osorio on my grade level, she and I are always competing. Who's going to have the highest I-Station results. We do capture the flag competitions for Friend Friday. Like if she beats me for the attendance, I'll always turn her magnet upside down on her
on the banner
on the door. Yeah, I'm like, come on. I think it's healthy. I think it's really good. Corby's awesome. I love Corby.
Corby's got some energy, and he's got some good ideas. And he was at Sierra Vista a long time, just like I was at LaSalle. I mean, me being at LaSalle for 8 years, it's a long time for a principal typically to be at one site, at least nowadays. Yeah. Before, like when I was when I was way back in the dark ages when I was in school, you'd have some, principals who were really not leaders. They were more managers, making sure that there was, paper towels in the paper towel thing. And now us principals, we're the leaders of the school, we're educational leaders. And so you don't find people, administrators, 15, 20 years at a school like you used to in the past.
It used to be like that.
It used to be, yeah. I remember this gentleman named Earl Gotts. He was at the same school for 22 years, as a principal. Yeah. But now, and it depends on the superintendent too and their philosophy. Sometimes, they move people around just to get a fresh start. And there were this past summer, when we all, several of us were moved. Most of us were, I think 4 of us were at the same school for 7 or 8 years. So not only it was me, but a couple others. And so they said, you know what, it's time to do a little shift. And I didn't want to leave LaSalle by any means. But I've been rejuvenated, got to bring some things, because we had a lot of good things in place at LaSalle. It was a well-oiled machine, we weren't perfect, and no school, no staff, no organization is, utopia. There's always some things that you have to work on, but it was pretty well-oiled. And so going to Bethune, just down the road, literally about a mile from where I was, similar community, young staff, smaller school, and it's kind of just giving me a little. I'm working hard. These old knees are, struggling, but it's been nice because I've got to bring some things to that school that they've been missing for a long time, and it's exciting to get to know another community, the students, the staff. So we're stoked. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, not like I know you were having fun at LaSalle, but I can imagine going to a new school. It's probably, it has to have a little bit of a more fun element to it because the kids have never seen it. The community's not used to it. So you get to come in and, you get to do your thing. And then all of a sudden.
I'm like a superhero.
Yes.
I come in with all these ideas but you can come in, there's people that, Brian, there's administrators that can come in and say they're going to do some things, and they can even do them. But if the teachers don't believe in you, and like they scout you out, every staff meeting they're looking at you. Those first few meetings, they're going, okay, we've heard about Mr. G, we know about his, we know where he's been, what he's done, but now we're face to face with him. Let's see what he's really all about.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the community. I mean, that community unfortunately had lost some faith in the school administration. And, I have to come back in and build back that bridge. And that's what I'm doing right now. So we've only been a couple months in, and we're pretty happy so far. We're knocking on wood. We're making progress.
I have a new analogy for you as a principal.
What's that?
Well, in the world of administration, there's going to be packaged deli meat, pre-cut deli meat.
Or you can get it on the grill and slice it yourself.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm slicing it myself.
Pre-uniform slices, or yes.
Well, you know why? Because we just had a feast. I do a feast every year. Did you guys do the feast this year?
We did. It was great.
Well, and so you're funny because actually I like that, because when I was cutting the slices of turkey for my staff. For your listeners, it's just a Thanksgiving feast. I've done it every year for many years. And I'm sure those of you in education out there, hopefully your principal, your administration takes care of you. I just created a Thanksgiving feast on the last day heading into the vacation as a small token of appreciation for their effort up to that point.
It's a huge feast. It's not.
It's the whole 9 yards.
Full spread.
It's the whole enchilada, but we're not serving Mexican food. It's
minus the enchilada.
Yeah, it's the whole Thanksgiving meal about a week in advance, and we do that with the help of PTO and a lot of volunteers, but getting back to the slicing of the turkey, you're right, because at Bethune, there are some slices of turkey that I had to cut a little thicker, some a little thinner, and that's just getting to know the kids, the community, the staff, building in programs, and so sometimes you got a little thicker cut, a little tastier. Others you got to kind of just shave it to make it go. And so I like that, but yeah, it's all good. So I'm carrying over a lot of the things that I've done that's made me successful over all the years, not just at LaSalle, but prior to that, and bringing in just important programs that I feel that help kids. And mainly the first thing that I've worked on, though, primarily is the culture and climate. They didn't have a PBIS, a positive behavior intervention system they kind of had something, but that was never just really.
Kind of had it because they had to have it.
And it was just nobody knew about it, nobody believed in it, and so that's one of the first things that we did. We created a new. We're the Bethune Wildcats, and our Wildcat, on the web page was a cute little wildcat, a little hat, and looked very passive and cute, and it was typically an elementary type look. But Bethune Elementary, quite frankly, Brian, you probably remember 10 years ago was at the top of the elementary ladder here in Val Verde.
Yes, and
they just over the years have just kind of gone down, slid down the ladder, and I wanted to get back in there. One of our hashtags is #scratch and claw to the top. I see it as a wildcat being have a little bit of grit and extending the claws out and come on, let's get back to that top where we were. And I have a couple of teachers that were still at the school that were there when they were at the top, and they knew and felt what it was like to be at the top, and we want to get back there. So we kind of changed our PBIS thing. And we got to think about that funny story that I got to do that spots video. If you could somehow, folks, listeners, if you want to see the funniest PBIS video, we made one at LaSalle for the kids when we started the spots program over there. The spots is the SPOTS because we were the leopards, right? And the S was show respect, the P, positive attitude, O, own your actions, T, think first, and S, stay safe. So Pulowski and I and other teachers made a video to show the kids the right way and the wrong way. And that was taken off YouTube because of the music, right? Mm-hmm. Is that what happened?
Right, yeah. We didn't have rights to the music.
But if you could somehow get that on and attach it to this, so the podcast, so people can click on that link and watch that.
That's a great video.
You are hilarious in that. You talk about a little kid in a candy store, folks. If you ever wanted to see a kid who can ham it up, in this video, for everything that we had to show how the kids what not to do, guess who was leading the way? Yeah, Pulowski. And when you kick the cones over, you food fight, banging on the doors. Oh my God! But anyways, back to that. That was a diversion to the spots and the LaSalle PBIS theme. Ours at Bethune is extend your claws. We want to kind of
claws.
Okay. Yeah. So claws. It's care about everyone is the C. L, lead the way. A, attitude is everything. W is work hard, and S is stay safe. So that's ours at Bethune, and I've instituted that. We've got, and it's not just about posters. And somebody was joking. I don't know who I was talking to, but PBIS and positive interventions for kids is not just about, okay, we've got it up on the wall. It says this is how we should behave in the cafeteria, and this is how we should behave on the playground. It's about really instituting it, and that's what I'm working on with my staff and the kids, is that they not only know what CLAWS stands for, they understand the reasoning why we chose those particular words to describe those letters in CLAWS, but we're living it. We want. I recognize on the announcements if I see some kids on the playground, holding the door or putting something away, caring about everyone, I'll announce that and give positive recognition on the announcements, specifically naming kids. Leading the way. So a lot of different things that we kind of do to continue to just feed into that. So it's not a poster. It's not just a saying. It's what we're living at Bethune Elementary. And so I'm excited. We've only been doing it for about a month and a half. Kind of took some time. It was a grassroots through our staff that we kind of built that up, and then we just popped it on them. And
yeah, they have to have ownership of it.
Yeah, they did.
Sure.
But I was under a little bit of a time crunch because this is the PBIS Positive Behavior and Intervention Support Systems was a big theme for our district this year, and the superintendent and his cabinet made it clear that they want schools, all of us, to help kids find ways to intervene, find ways to. It's not just suspend students. It's not just, but let's find out why things are happening, and let's build in some systems in place. We attended a response to intervention 2-day thing a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And so, we're working on that. And so the students are starting to feel it and believe it. And I'm seeing the difference when they're eating. I'm seeing the difference. And that's what you want. You want a behavior change. You want them to think differently. You want them to think first before they choose to do something that's going to get them sent to the office. So
you have to own it. Like you said, it can't just be posters. In fact, I think that's where I remember hearing it, was that meeting that we were at, is the guy that was leading the meeting was saying that. Like, it's not about just putting up a poster and, oh, geez, look, now there's a poster in the cafeteria.
We're doing PBIS. I mean, we're intervening because we've got beautiful little colored posters around. Yeah, no, that's not it at all. And some other things, that just trying to engage the kids. What I've started just recently, if you don't mind listening,
let's hear it.
I'll tell you what we're doing. At Bethune, we've also, as a principal, right? And this just because of just the experience, you have that percentage of kids that get sent to the principal's office, right?
Of course.
You have your regulars or the habituals and you have the kids who mess up once in a blue moon. They get in trouble, they get sent to the principal, and then they go back and you never see them again because they've learned. But you have, for being with me for all these years, we recognize student of the week, student of the month, honor roll. We're recognizing kids, and those are kind of select groups of kids, right? I mean, you have your honor roll kids, and you have a kid who's picked.
Right.
But there's a whole bunch of, and then you have that small percentage, right, who gets sent to the office, who, what'd you do now? Okay, go see Mr. G again. Mm-hmm. But you have that good chunk of students who kind of just go through and kind of aren't really noticed. I mean, they might get an award here or there. So what we've started now at Bethune is positive, get it? Positive, PAW, positive office referrals, because we're the Wildcats. Positive office referrals. I didn't create this. I didn't invent this. I didn't think this. But it came to me like, why don't we start recognizing kids every week who just do a great job? And so, how we're doing that, Brian, is this. Have you watched any college football ever?
Yes.
If you ever look on their helmets, they get stickers, right?
They do, yeah, for good plays, touchdowns.
Precisely, yeah. So I've got a bunch of these little paw stickers.
No way.
And they have Chromebooks because we're 1-to-1 in our district. Every student has a Chromebook. And so each week when students come to the library at Bethune, the teacher gives me a list. If I'm in my office, I'll go into the library because it's right next to my office, and I'll give them a little paw sticker, and they put it on their Chromebook. And so when they open up their Chromebook, kids that sit across from them, they can see, you've got 4 paw stickers. That means you got 4 positive office visits to Mr. G. And so we're going to recognize positive behavior.
What a great idea.
Yeah. And on the other side of the computer, so we kind of split the Chromebook in half, it's going to be weekly perfect attendance stickers. So you're going to have positive behavior, attendance, mesh those, and you've got a 21st century learner who's learning the 4 C's, who's going to extend their claws. And so we've got these stickers that are showing, and they get to walk around and show everybody, and it's like those helmets. I mean, it's just like, what do you see when you see in a college football? You say, what are all those things on that guy's helmet?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so it's same kind of concept.
What a great idea!
So we're stoked about that. Yeah,
yeah, that's really good idea.
And the kids are excited and then if a teacher, it's all based on teacher criteria. There's no like you get it or you don't, because a 5th grade class, like you taught for years with me, could have different criteria for the kid versus a 2nd or a 1st grade class. So each teacher creates their own criteria as to who gets to go to see Mr. G for a positive office referral. And I leave it up to the teachers.
That's so neat.
And the great thing about it is the next time their library time comes along, they have a chance to get another sticker.
So that's when they earn it, is at the library?
Yeah, that's when I hand them out.
Okay. Yeah. And teacher
but
fills
they earn it from library time to the next, it's, once a week you go to library. So if you have library on Mondays, you kind of do well all week long, and then on that next Monday when you go to the library, hey, you had a great week. You get your sticker, bam, we show everybody off, and you walk around, Mom, look, I got a positive office referral. I saw Mr. G today.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So we're recognizing kids who, on a weekly basis, who sometimes just I hate to say it, not slip through the cracks, but just kind of just do the right thing. They're the good kids. They get their work done. They don't get sent to the office. They don't get called in by the recess coaches, for causing issues on the playground. It's just that steady flow of kids. And the good thing, though, about it, Brian, is that if you don't get it one week, the next week you
have another opportunity.
Every week.
Yeah, that's the bummers. When you're only recognizing kids for academics, it's like, you don't want behavior issues, but yet you don't reward them for making positive choices in their behavior. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, you weren't honor roll, or you weren't the student of the week because you went up on your iStation results or whatever the case is. But like, there's kids out there maybe their academics stink, but like they're making smart choices. Like no one's looking, but they're holding the door for someone to walk in, type of thing. Like
they're good kids. They're good people.
They just need to be recognized.
Not necessarily even that it's not even like their academics stink. They just might be not everybody's a straight A student.
Yeah.
And you can just be a good kid, an average kid who's doing the right things, who's respectful to the adults. I mean, I saw a couple of podcasts ago that the music teacher, and that whole situation is a horrific situation. So many disrespect. So you have kids who are respectful and kind and considerate, and they're caring about everyone. They're leading the way in their silent way.
Yeah.
Let's recognize them. So that's what we're doing at Bethune now.
I love that idea. That's such a good idea.
Yeah. So and if I'm not, I can just hear then you're sitting around the office all day long. Of course not. But if I'm not there at the time, or I'm busy, I'm doing something, the teacher just sends me the list. I go into the classroom the first chance I get, or they send somebody up. I give them their stickers, and they get to show them off. That's the key. Is they have an insignia of some sort, which is a little paw print, tiny little thing about smaller than a dime.
Yeah.
It goes on their computer that people can recognize that they've been recognized for something good.
Good. It's
So
small, so they got room for a lot of them.
They got from every week till the end of the school year.
It's so great.
And then I can't recall how our district is the cycle for the one-to-one Chromebooks. I think they keep them for 2 years, right, or something. You're a tech guy, you should know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's plenty of room, and if they're carrying it over to the next year, I mean, we'll put them. We'll figure out a way to get them on there, but we're going to show them off.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm pretty. We just started that. Ordered the stickers, and we started that so the kids now could have up to 3, I believe, on their Chromebook at this time. So it's cool.
Oh, 3's the most that
right now, because we didn't start at the very beginning of the year. We just thought of this.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know how it came. I think I had heard it somewhere, positive office referrals. Like, okay, how can I bring that to Bethune? How can I bring that to my little Wildcats?
That's such a great idea.
And the kinder kids, they don't have it. They don't have the they don't take their Chromebooks home.
Right.
But what they take home is their folders.
Avid folders.
Yeah, and so we put theirs on their Avid folders, so their parents get to see that. And I've broadcasted. I do a parent link every Monday, so the parents know what's cooking. So I share the new positive office referrals.
Such a great idea.
Yeah.
You mentioned that someone could say, "Would you just sit in your office?" I don't know how many times I would be in the office and you weren't there. You're never in your office. No. That door is always open, and you were always bebopping around the campus, popping in on kids and
in the classrooms. And I mean, one of the most. I mean, Administration 101 is what? High visibility.
Yeah.
And I like being out. I like being with the kids. It prevents a lot of things that can happen. My door is always open. I've been one of those administrators who have always welcomed parents without an appointment ever. If I'm there, come on in. Mm-hmm. My new secretarial staff is getting used to that because, in years past, sometimes you have administrators who will not see anybody unless it's on the schedule, on the calendar, at this time. And me, you know what, I've been doing this. This is my 30th year in education, so I'm old. Yeah, it's a long time. 21 years as an administrator. So, you know what? If a parent's unhappy, I'm going to try to help. I'm going to listen and try to, make it right if I can. If they're happy and they want to come in and say hi, and Mr. G, hey, you know what? We went to movie night. It was awesome. I liked the way you did that, or the back to school night. I just really liked the way you made us feel welcome, and you just, whatever it is.
Yeah.
My ELAC parents. Sometimes those parents, a little intimidated because they may or may not speak English completely. They may not understand everything, but the more you can make them feel welcome, the more you make them feel like you're just a regular guy, even though you wear this title of principal, which I never really care about. I just like making sure that the parents of my community and the kids all feel good about coming to school. And so I got to be out there with them.
Yeah.
I used to play tetherball and all that fun stuff, but no.
I got videos. I got lots of videos I can refer people to. I have a ton of stuff. You used to get out there all the time.
Yeah. We've had some fun times together. Remember when we did our testing assembly?
Of course.
We did our ice cream sundae and stuff, and that was fun. I was thinking on the way over here, coming to your studio, that when we do the talent show, you and folks, you listeners out there, you gotta, if we only could have somebody call up, or I'm sure one of our parents has it somewhere, but
it's got to be out there. The Sonny and Cher one. Yeah. We got to find the Sonny and Cher one.
I got you, babe. And listeners, you could probably guess who is Cher, because Mr. Pulaski is a lot taller than I am. There's the hint. Oh my God, he had the mannerisms, and the hair fling back. Oh, we did that. I got you, babe. But you know what? But that the way we could connect with kids, and it didn't take that for us to connect with them. That just enhanced what we brought to the school and what they saw. And so when they'd see us, be silly and have fun like that, you dressed up in a dress and a wig and pretending you're Cher and at those talent shows, this brought life to the school. It brought that feeling of, yeah, this is a great place to be.
Yeah. I think the Christmas programs stand out the most for me. I don't know I've met anyone that has a better skill at entertaining an audience that's only is waiting for their kids, and like, you really can't speed kids up in the transition from one class to another, or so one class performs, and then it's another class. You don't know if you're going to be like having to talk for a minute.
I know.
You don't know if you're going to have to talk for 8 minutes. It depends on how long it takes them to set up. And gosh, you're just amazing at that. Our new admin for the school, and she is doing her absolute best, and she's gonna. I strongly believe she's gonna do a great job. But she even told me when we met, she's like, I have no idea how I'm gonna step in to the shoes of Mr. G to do the Christmas program. And my best advice was, don't try and step into those shoes. You got to figure out how to do your own thing, because if you're trying to do what Mr. G is going to do, you're not. It's not going to come off authentic.
Well, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that. It sometimes I am out there working the audience, trying to think of everything possible to say and entertain, while all I'm waiting for is what you would do, is you'd whistle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then oh, thank God. Okay, our next act is third grade from Miss So-and-so's class. But the Christmas programs, I mean, you did a fantastic job all the time. I could always count on you to get the music right and help backstage, moving the risers back and forth and meeting the demands of the teachers. And those Christmas programs year after year, they took its toll on me.
I had the easy part though. Honestly, because I would see you do it for every grade level.
Right.
I don't think you ever repeated the same joke. You might have every once in a while, you would say something, I'd be like, oh, okay, now he's going to talk about a frog. And then you'd be like, oh, and then I had a frog. I'd be like, I knew it. But most of the time you're just going off the cuff. And that's a talent. I don't know that a whole lot of people can ad lib as well as you do.
Thank you. Well, we've always talked about going on the road, you and I. I think you're pretty funny too. And wow. we make a great team. And what's nice is when we'd stand up there on the stage, and as the parents are coming in and finding their seats, and the Christmas programs, and it's coming up. The crazy scenes is coming up pretty quick here, and we're doing the same thing. I'm going to miss that part with you. Being
are you doing the same thing? Or are you?
Oh yeah, same.
Excellent.
We're doing the evening. A lot of some principals or schools don't like to do the evening program for Christmas, and I've always felt that that the working families have a right, because other principals have it during the day, and either parents would have to take off work. I like the ambiance. I mean, you and I have set it up, countless times, and you get the lights dimmed, you get the room dark, you get the stage lit up, you get the Christmas tree, and you get the wreaths around the stage. It creates that Christmas feel.
It's a concert for the parents.
And and the teachers put a lot of work into it. I mean, that's kind of a little stressful time, because you could be working on our academics, but it's a big part of what parents they record that. The kids remember the songs, the skits, Miss Cooper at LaSalle, her third grade, on Dash, on Dancer, on Prancer, and then that whole Christmas one that she does is fantastic. It's always a lasting memory, but it's a lot of time that goes into it, because you take pride as a teacher to want those to show off, and to have your family watching you and be proud of you. And so we're going to do it at Bethune and do the night programs, and they haven't done that before, but we've got it booked.
The community is going to love it.
I think so.
I think years pass, whatever. We'll just talk about Miss Cooper, because I agree, her program was amazing. And you talk to her, and she would admit, she's like, I have sleepless nights stressing about these kids making a mistake, or the timing was off, and
or how loud, or how come on, I can't hear you, as they're reciting the poem. Yeah, 'Twas the night before Christmas, and
and to her credit, I mean, she would be out there going, and 1 and 2 and it was like she needed it precise. But then come show night, it's amazing.
Well, what's one of the things that Mr. G has always said throughout the years? His famous quote: to be a champion, you have to practice like a champion. And that's exactly what she does, and many other teachers. And you know what? I was always very proud at the end of each night, because we do three different nights, 2 different grades on each night. And after each show, you and I would sit back and, okay, 1 down, 5 more to go, or whatever. But I was very proud as a leader of the school, because I know the teachers put in the effort. I know they practiced like a champion. I know the parents were happy. And, as they walk away, great show, Mr. G, great job. Kids were fantastic. So that's all that's worth it when it comes down to that. So, yeah, we're going to do it again and see how it goes. But I'm going to miss you. You want to come over and be my guest person?
Of course I will. I think you planned on the same night.
Yeah, I think I'm out of luck because your LaSalle's are the same nights that I. But actually, what I'm going to have in your place, which is second best, is Johnny Nunez is going to send over some of his students from his high school video and audio class, and so they're going to run the audio. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, give them some hands-on experience.
That's a very close second to me. Then I'm sure they know exactly what they're doing.
But
that's good for the kids. It's like because the community's happy. They go home, they're excited, like, oh, you did so good up there, little Johnny, or whatever like that. And that helps them with their academics. I know there's teachers that are like, we're missing out on academics time, but years from now, do you think they're really going to remember that lesson you did on double-digit multiplication?
On December 16th, come on. What's everybody thinking about?
Yeah,
let's be real.
Exactly. They're going to be like, no, I remember with Miss Cooper, I was the reindeer that came out and I danced on stage, and then their parents are, they're praising them for that, and it makes them love school even more. And if you love school and want to be at school, you're going to learn more than being a grouch.
Exactly. And that's exactly my whole philosophy is just motivate to educate. And if you motivate and get them to want to be there and happy to be there, they're going to want to try harder. They're going to work harder. They won't want to disappoint. And that's the same thing with, why I, cook for the teachers and do the things and support the teachers is because, there's a famous book that I've always quoted, if you don't feed the teachers, they eat the students.
Yep. I love that. I quote you on that all the time.
But I think it's important. I mean, as a school principal, I like to show teaching now from 30 years ago when I started. In fact, my wife last night showed a picture to her mother of a picture of me my first year teaching. I had hair. I was thin.
Kevin Costner.
I looked a little bit like Costner back then. But it's so different, when we started back then to now. It's teaching is. I mean, not that it wasn't hard back then. I mean, it was hard, but there was a whole different rigor. You know what I'm saying? It was just a different. The accountability now, that what we're trying to teach kids now in first and kinder and the primary grades is even more demanding than it ever was. And so I like to recognize the teachers. I like to. It's hard work. It's not easy work. My wife's a 5th grade teacher in our district, and she's up late at night trying to prepare the best lessons for her kids. She works hard during the week, and she tries to chill on weekends, which is perfect, which was what you preach all the time.
Yeah.
Work hard and then enjoy that downtime.
Yeah.
But it is a challenging profession now, and it's more challenging when you have a wider variety of students coming to you. We have the full spectrum of kids that come to us. We don't have control over that. We're public education. We're going to serve the public. But I like that. I like taking kids, and I like taking kids from other schools who sometimes maybe not were so successful, and they come into our school and they feel the love and the care and the genuine like, yeah, I'm glad you're here. That sounds so cliche or so phony-ish, but I'll tell you what, this, even being at Bethune for Brian the last couple of months, just the first couple of months of the school year since, August, I had this little kindergartner the other day. It's the things that go through their minds amazing. This little kindergartner, Blake, comes up to me. We had a movie night, right? It's free. Parents just come in, and all we do is sell popcorn, and they lay around on their pillows and stuff. And this little Blake goes to me, Mr. G? And I go, yeah, Blake. He goes, what? I'm really glad you're here. And I go, well, I'm glad you're here, Blake. And he goes, this was a great idea. You have great ideas. And I go, so in his mind, this movie night thing was just a monster idea.
Yeah, of course.
That nobody's ever heard of. But, to him, it was like, the be all end all. To me, it's like, okay, I got to, and see, I forget about that sometimes because I'm thinking, okay, I got to patrol the grounds, make sure, on a Friday night, because that's when you typically hold them, and that's what I do. Make sure nobody's coming on campus that shouldn't be there. And here you have these kids in here just enjoying the heck out of the movie. You're thinking it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, I mean, that's why we do this work, get responses like that.
It's great.
Love it.
I remember years, I'm going to exaggerate, 6 years ago, it could have been longer than that. at the end of all your staff meetings, you always give like a motivational story and kind of some sort of discussion of, how is this going to relate to your classroom? How does this relate to your life? And I remember one that you specifically talked about, why don't you tell your kids that you're glad that they came today? Who doesn't want to hear that you're thankful to see them? And I just remember that, like, just striking such a chord with me, going like, yeah, why don't we? Like, these kids, yes, I guess they could have a choice. They could fake like they're sick. They can do whatever they want. But in the end, who doesn't want to feel like they're appreciated and that you're thankful to see them? And that really stands out to me. I mean, I just think that's so you to like, you need to like let the kids know you're happy to see them, but genuinely feel it. And
yeah. They can tell phony, right?
Oh, for sure they can.
They can see through that fake smile any old day.
Yeah. You give a kid a big high five in the morning when they walk in and say, "I'm so glad you came today." They brighten up because they get it. They're like, "Wow, nice. Okay, I'm glad I came today too."
Exactly. Those stories, those little motivational, those a lot of those came from Chicken Soup for Teachers, that book, and there's a lot of great stories in there. I always think that you and I remember Echo, we always used to talk about, like, we should write a book, we should keep track of all these things, because so many things happen over the school year. But yeah, at staff meetings, I like to recognize teachers at the beginning and give a little story and a pin. Remember, I'd give a pin that says,
of course,
and
always tied in with the story.
Tried to, and just little things like that. The little things make a difference, right?
And there was always teachers. So Mr. G would get out, like, he either printed out like a couple pages or he'd turn to an excerpt from like the book or whatever. And there was always teachers that would like reach down, put on the sunglasses because they knew it was coming. It was always going to be some tearjerker story.
Sometimes they got very emotional. Sometimes they were very inspirational. But yeah, like you're referring to Vicky King, our good friend Vicky King, who was with us. We lost her a couple years back, and Sonny was one of them too. They would sit there. Oh, Mr. G,
here we go.
Is this going to be a tearjerker? I don't know. We'll find out. And then she'd always, I remember Vicky specifically, she'd go, "You did it again. You did it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you tear up, but it has power. Words have power, right?"
Do you remember what Vicky used to leave on your doorknob on your office door?
Of course. I mean, talk about being a spoiled principal. Well, Vicky King was a workaholic. She was a great teacher. Listeners, just so you a little background. I've been a teacher for quite a long time. Lived by herself, and she always used to tell me. And I had never had time to eat. You know me. I have the worst eating habits in the world. I eat like once a day, and then when I eat. And Vicky King would always just leave a little lunch bag, she'd make me a tuna sandwich or something, and she'd leave it by my office door. And I said, "Vicky, you don't have to do that. I'm good. She goes, "It doesn't take me much effort, Mr. G, to make another sandwich when I'm making my own." And so she took very good care of me.
Sweet.
And yeah, she was awesome. And she was awesome in the classroom too. And talk about somebody who really had that genuine, kids could feel it. And she had primarily, oftentimes, our SEI classes, the second language learners kids. And man, did she connect with those kids. And she was a mother to them and a teacher and everything else. And I
just remember a huge smile. She just had a huge smile.
And that flaming red hair. And
yes.
Yeah.
Aww.
She was a great lady. Yeah. So yeah, those, and those lunches were really good. They fueled me. Now every once in a while I get a salad or something. But you're a picture of health, and I'd like to be, but I'm not disciplined when it comes to eating. Food, the good foods. I like bad food. All my kids, I have 4 kids at home still. They like bad food.
Well, if I knew how to cook like you, I'd probably eat a lot worse too. You like are maybe one of the best grillers I've ever met. Like, and this was for the whole staff. So we're talking 25, sometimes more.
Oh, for our LaSalle staff?
And that's just teachers.
Oh yeah, I would always plan for about 75. When I'd cook.
Oh my God. And you'd walk by the grill and it's just smoking. And he'd open it up and And sometimes there'd be like, burger, like a couple times.
Tri-tip,
Tri-tips,
fish tacos.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Monterey style chicken.
And it was Now, see, now my mouth's watering.
See, what you do? I knew your game too. You'd stroll by at recess time because I'd usually have to start cooking around, recess. And he'd stroll by and kind of sniff the air and give me that look, and I'd have to literally throw the dog a bone.
That's it.
Give him a little teaser of it.
Uh-huh.
And you'd be my taste tester, right?
Oh, I didn't mind. On days I knew you were going to grill, I was always like first one on campus, helping the custodian pull the barbecue out.
Get the easy ups out.
Yeah.
What can I help you with, man?
The faster you start grilling for me, the better.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you always helped. See, you're a doer, and that's what as an administrator, you have to have somebody you can turn to. And I did have an assistant principal for many of the years at LaSalle, several in fact, and they were certainly right-hand people. But it's always nice to have in the trenches somebody, and you were always my trench person. And
I appreciate that.
You did more than enough to help make a lot of my events and a lot of the stuff that we did fun and entertaining and successful.
Yeah,
and that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago. Everything just kind of blends.
There's a lot of years.
It just all blends. It all just.
Well, we've been
blends
together now. That was 8, 9, 10 years. We worked together.
Yeah,
10 years.
There was. I don't remember what it was. It was something for academics, teaching of academics. And I remember talking to Echo DePriest about this. And I remember like venting to her and going, I don't understand why he didn't why I can't do that or something like that. And Echo's like, you don't get it, Plowski. Like, it's a chess game. Mr. G's playing the chess game. You're not that chess piece. That chess
That's what she said?
Yeah, but it was like in a nice way. She's like, you're not that chess piece. You're the chess piece that can get all this done. And when he needs this, it's all going to be taken care of and he can count on you. But you can't be the chess piece that does everything because,
Well, that would be the queen. And you're clearly not the queen, so
little do you know,
the queen moves in any direction on the chessboard. I used to play chess, but I think she makes a good point. But don't sell yourself short too.
No, I wasn't insulted.
Yeah.
I wasn't insulted. I understood. It was more of a compliment to me. She was just, you're great at this.
Yeah.
You can't be great at everything. You need to understand that. Like he has other teachers that are great at some things that you're not. So don't get insulted because he's going to go with a teacher that can do that better than you.
What do good leaders and good people who run organizations do? They surround themselves, so they delegate to the people who have strengths. And you had a multitude of strengths, and not that academics and teaching wasn't one.
That's okay.
No, I'm complimenting you just like Echo did. Really, you're looking at me like I'm. No, I mean you have a lot to offer, and you had a lot to offer, and that's her point, and that's my point too.
Yeah.
And your kids, who did I come across just recently that had you, and they said, "Oh, Mr. Plowski, yeah, he was my 5th grade teacher," and it was like he was totally stoked about having you, and it's all good.
Well, that's another example of years from now where they're not going to remember. Mm-hmm. They're not going to remember the academics, but they're going to remember how you made them feel.
Well, what do you think about this? Is you probably. Many times in staff meetings, I've brought this up. Like, who do you remember as your favorite teacher and why? Mm-hmm. That's how I opened many of our very beginning of the year staff meetings. Like, let's think about why we're doing this job and who we're trying to connect with, creating these relationships and rapport. And why? As you flash back to when you were a kid, who was your favorite teacher and why?
Yeah.
And then, if not me, then who? Remember we used to say that at Triple Crown? If not me, if not us, then who? Yeah. If we're not going to be number one, why let's fight for this. And that I feel the same way, Brian, about being the principal. I want to inspire. I thought of the song from our last it was Centuries by Fall Out Boy.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
And I listened to that today.
Okay.
And at the end, I want to be remembered for centuries. And I think you should play that at the end of our little session. But that's what I want. I want to have been the best boss you've ever worked for.
Uh-huh.
I want my students at my school to have the best time at my school. Like, I really loved going to Mr. G's school. And the same thing as a teacher. You should be saying, okay, these kids are going to have the best experience ever. And that's why I do this job. I want to treat everybody so that in the end, when they flash back, they may not remember one particular lesson, but they will remember their elementary years. They will remember certain events, whether it's field trips or talent shows or whatever. I mean, think about that. We've recorded all our talent shows over the years, the last 8-9 years. Mm-hmm. And those parents we sold those CDs, or those parents have their own video of those, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a memory that they will show their grandkids and grandkids. And that's what our job is, to inspire.
Do you think it's the same at high school than it is in elementary?
I think it's a lot more challenging. I think we can mold and kind of inspire in a different way at the elementary, and then middle school is a whole different cup of tea. But high school, they're young adults. They're finding their path, their mission. I think, I've never done high school. I've done middle school and I've done elementary.
Yeah.
I've always thought about, what could I have done as a high school administrator? It's and especially if you're talking about a school like, in our district, Rancho Verde or Citrus Hill, or now Orange Vista, large high schools, comprehensive high schools. I don't know how. I don't know how
I would do in high school. I think about that. I know I'm a great teacher. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to win best teacher for academics, but I could win best teacher for rapport and, making connections with kids. So that's good. But I don't know that it would translate to high school. In high school, I feel like maybe that's not as important. I don't know.
I think you would have I think kids would connect with you tremendously at high school.
Well, they'd connect.
I think
they'd connect, but I don't know.
But connect. What are the 3 R's that I've always talked about? Relationships, rapport, and rigor. So if you develop the relationship and rapport, whether they're 12 years old or whether they're 17, then they're going to connect to you. Then you can create that rigor where they're going to want to work for you.
Okay.
I think that's definitely true. I think it's the same with me. I think once you get in there, administrative in high school is a little different, but as a teacher, and if I were a high school teacher like you're referring to, I think we'd make tremendous impact on kids. Yeah. Because my daughter I have 2 kids in high school, and I hear some of the things that, when they talk about their teachers and the ones that don't have that R&R, that relationships and rapport.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge for them in the classroom. And that's where you find some of the behavior issues and kids acting up or being a little more disrespectful because there's no connection. You got to make that connection. That's all we've talked about over all the, that's all. I'm out in the parking lot every day at my new school saying hello to parents and having kids wave to me. I wave like I'm in a parade every single day. It's about those relationships, about building that trust, building that high visibility that kids see that you really do care about me. You're going to stand out here in the hot sun without the hat that you gave me. You gave me a nice sun hat. You've looked out for me, but I have not done well. You've given me good diet advice. You've given me a hat to protect my skin and prevent skin cancer, and I have not done well.
There was a time where I even gave you a kettlebell, and it became, I think, a paperweight.
I still have that, actually.
Good.
Yes, I came across that recently.
That's good. I think the parents see you out there, and it's more, obviously it's for the kids because the kids get to see their principal and they get excited, but I think that's builds a lot for the community too. Like, wow, our principal's actually out here and waving to the kids.
Every day.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. And I tell that to any of my previous assistant principals when they came and joined me. They see me out in the parking lot. They see me. It's just critical for a bunch of different reasons, and you can't lose by being out there. It's a win-win situation because you can be out there in case something happens, and you can also be out there just so parents say, hey, you know what? This guy's not stuck in his office. It's like, here's a funny story. And I tell it about Dr. Gary Roten. My first year when I moved from the Central Valley down here, I was at Vista Verde Middle School. I told you about that earlier.
Okay.
I was an assistant principal, and Dr. Gary Roten was the principal, and there was another assistant principal. There was 2 of us, Susie Ballard. And I was doing that year until Triple Crown was built, right? So, and this has to do with visibility. So, being out there, so kids. So, that year, my nature was just to be out with the kids. We did a broadcast at Vista Verde, and I was always on it. The assistant principal. Okay, now remember, do this, kids, and don't do that, and da 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 da. So the kids saw my face constantly, and then at lunchtime I was out. Then I started back then there was some tension amongst that at that school. So instead of the kids marauding around and kind of forming groups and kind of dogging each other, I brought a stereo system out, put on some music, and just played music during their lunch times. And eventually hired, quote, didn't pay them, but let them, a couple of 8th grade boys, and they spun the records as long as they were appropriate. Yeah. And so we're playing music and stuff, and Gary Roten's a good friend of mine, and we had a lot of fun together, and we worked hard together at that school. One day, this is visibility. One day, I was standing out there behind the DJs, so to speak, standing against the wall, and Gary had come out of his office and out of the office area, and he was standing next to me, and this one 8th grader, and Gary laughs at this because Gary's got a great sense of humor. This 8th grader walks up and goes, "Hey, Mr. G." I go, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He goes, "Who's your friend?" "Who's your friend here?" And I go, "What do you mean, man? What do you mean? This is the principal. He's the principal." The kid goes, "I thought you were the principal." I go, "No, he's the principal." And Gary laughs at that. Oh my God. I tell that story to several people and they just crack up. But it's just about the high visibility. And the thing about Gary, he was the principal and he had 2 assistant principals, right?
Yeah.
Our jobs were to be out with the kids. And so it was no dish on him. It was just kids saw me all the time, saw me on the TV, saw me on the broadcast, and saw me out front. So they go, "Who's your friend?" It was hilarious.
Yeah, that's the principal.
He's the head honch. He's my boss, as a matter of fact. You're going to say something nice now?
He's the one that you have to recognize.
Yeah, he's going to give you your diploma here in a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've always felt that you just got to be out. It's got to be out. It prevents a lot of hassles.
Got to be visible.
Yeah. Well, so that's good stuff. The year is moving quick already. I mean, we're just about.
I can't believe it's December. It's
coming up. Yeah, it's right there, and then just a few weeks, and then the new year comes, and. But I've got 7 or 8 teachers who are in their first or second year. So
okay.
Working at that. They're not necessarily young teachers, but they're new.
New to the profession.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And I got a good mix there. I only have 25 total teachers. At LaSalle, we had 34, 35, so it's a much bigger school. But just Bethune, I keep coming back to Bethune because obviously that's where I'm at, and that's where I'm going to be. That's got to
be your focus, yeah.
That is my focus. I hope to, want to continue to work there and get that. We're going to scratch and claw back to the top and go from there. But
it's interesting to hear the 2 perspectives because one of your brand new teachers is one of my parents. For her son is in my class, so I've talked to her plenty of times about what it's like there. Mm-hmm. And then,
what does she say? Give me the inside scoop.
No, man. She says great. She says great things. Luckily, she doesn't know any different. Yeah. Which is nice. So she doesn't. You'd think, well, it'd be nice if she had a comparison, so she knows what to appreciate. But she's coming in. She's getting spoiled her first year, which is really nice. So no, she's happy. She loves seeing what's out there. Mm-hmm. And then you have someone that works at your school that I've known for a while, and he's been at that school for a long time. So to talk to him and hear the difference between how it used to be and how it is now, it's. Well, I mean, I can relate because I know what it's like to work with you at different schools. So,
yeah, I noticed you talking a lot with him over the last years. I'm going, I wonder what they're talking about. But I know that he's sharing. He's proud. He's happy. He's
very happy.
He's learning. He's there's only 2 of us. I mean, elementary, it is a female-dominated. And at our site, it's just me and my instructional coach, and then the rest of the staff. I mean, of course, we have custodians and such, but overall, it's a great experience. We've got some new wall clings or window clings up, so we're changing the look. The school got painted over the summer. Got a new library. We're working on I just actually came to LaSalle recently to show Keel, or my instructional coach, Mr. Strathman, the STEAM lab that we put together last year.
Excellent.
Yeah, so the one at my current school just is not adequate, so we're going to kind of redo it, so to speak.
Okay.
So I went, took them over there, showed them what we had at LaSalle. I also went over to Victoriano, because their school is actually a little bit more, a little older like my school, Bethune, and the design is similar. So I kind of showed them, okay, here's what we did at LaSalle. Here's kind of like the furniture. Here's the green screen. Here's the big TVs and all that. And then went to Victoriano and said, okay, this is more like what we can do at our site. And so
A little more realistic, or?
well, it's just the shape of the room.
Okay.
We have pods. It's an indoor. There's indoor walkways and hallways and things like that. So,
Yeah.
So LaSalle's was just to kind of show them, hey, this is what a really cool looking STEAM lab looks like. And STEAM, of course, for your listeners, they know that it's science, technology, engineering, art, and music. But Bethune just doesn't have. We had kind of like these two little rooms that were called the STEAM rooms.
Okay.
So now we're going to take the old computer lab, because as everybody knows in our district, it's 1-to-1. Kids take their Chromebooks home. So the computer lab is non-existent.
You don't need it.
It's an empty room. So
That's
we're going
right.
to change that into the STEAM lab and put some money into that. I've got a good budget to supply it and get kids going with some good STEAM activities and discovery science and things like that. So.
Storage would be something that I would recommend for your STEAM lab. Our STEAM lab is lacking the storage, and I think we're going to work on that. I'm not sure.
Like for the materials and stuff?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have robotics, and I don't remember the actual numbers. I want to say, just top of my head, I think there's 10 for K2 and 15 for 3.5, whatever the number of cases are. But you need storage for those. And so right now I have them all stacked on top of cabinets. And so I've talked to our administration about something like maybe a wall-mounted cabinet that is on a slide that can be slid down to access, but then slide it up to get it out of the way. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but we are lacking the storage, and that's something you need.
I think that's good. That's a good hint for me, because we've gotten those Legos and the different things for our robotics lab, and like right now, like we don't have a lab to put them in to begin with, but foresight. Thinking ahead, like, okay, what are we going to do with this stuff once our lab is in? So that's good. That's good help.
Yeah, because I've talked to some teachers that are like, well, the kits can just stay in classrooms. Well, if they stay in the classrooms, they're not going to get used by other classrooms, and likely they're just going to get shelved in the classroom and forgotten about.
Yeah.
So I think leaving them in the STEAM lab is a great idea, so that they have easy access. It's just, you want something that the kids could get to.
It's like out of sight, out of mind, right?
That's exactly it.
If it's not there, then they won't use it, and the teachers won't access it either, because, getting into the STEAM lab just initially, anyways, and thinking, and it's challenging. I mean, we do have STEAM coordinators who are kind of helping put together lessons and activities. Not every teacher is really comfortable. They're qualified. They're not comfortable with getting in there and getting into that science and that engineering, that technology. Some have a better knack for it than others, but if you can have the materials there, have some things that teachers can kind of framework to go from, and that's what I plan to do at our site, is just get the materials in there, like you're saying, get it all in there, make it look nice, but also provide that opportunity for the teachers to have some simple lessons, some simple ideas, whatever grade level, just to get exposure. And then you can develop it deeper into the robotics teams and things like that, where you can really get kind of like those MIT, create those robots and those bucking Broncos and that kind of crazy stuff. But our kids are capable. I mean, we've got those 21st century. I mean, that's what we're preparing for, right?
Right.
We're preparing our kids for the 21st century to compete in the global world, to get a job anywhere in the world. And so, why shortchange them? And that's what Mr. Lenore, the assistant superintendent, came to my school and saw my STEAM lab. And was like, I was going, look at this. He brought the STEAM coordinator, Doug Henderson. And I go, you guys, this is not even fair for us, because we can't compete with this. I go, we have a room here. You put a little bit of money into this, but how about setting us up for some success and giving our Wildcats an opportunity? And they're doing it.
Excellent.
So I was really grateful. I thank him every time I see him for that effort, because it is going to cost money, of course, but they're going to do it and give us a fair shot.
Into one room? Right now it's two, correct?
Right now it's like in two separate pods.
You can't do that.
Well, it doesn't even fit. Brian, it doesn't even fit a whole class. It was like when I first got to the school, I kind of walked around. I'm trying to get acclimated again because I did those summer school principalships, but that was way back. I had no memory of the school. And I go, well, what's this? Because the walls are painted like orange and they stand out. But and then who was the person who was escorting? This is one of our STEAM labs, and I really thought it was a joke because there was like 4 tables. Enough for maybe 10 kids to work, with elbow room if you're going to create or design or need some table space. And so then they showed me another one, similar, in 2 different buildings. And so I didn't even So we got it. They're gonna work on it right away, actually. So I'm stoked about that.
How are they gonna put together 2 rooms into one? Are they gonna just?
They're not. No, those are actually just going to be. One of those rooms that are already pre-existing is attached to the computer lab, which is going to turn into the new STEAM lab. So there's a little doorway. So we're going to have a STEAM lab / kind of a robotics room all together. So,
that's kind of neat.
Yeah, so it's a full-size STEAM lab with a little kind of the original STEAM lab as the robotics room.
Okay.
Did you follow me?
Yeah, I follow.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think the reluctancy for teachers is that they feel like it's something added when that's not the point of STEAM. STEAM is supposed to be integration.
Yeah.
So you integrate it into your language arts, your mathematics, and whatever like that. So I think I will see how it goes, but I have a feeling that this year and next year there's going to be some reluctancy from teachers because they just don't quite see how you can integrate it. But once you can integrate it, gosh, I think that STEAM lab's going to be like booked up for time to get in there.
Well, we just were at that David LaRose, great speaker, right, from Smarter Balanced.
Yeah.
And he showed that picture of teachers. And this is what I was saying earlier about how different and demanding the job is. I mean, that plate of pancakes, remember that? That thing was huge. And that's what's on your plate. That's, and administrators, we have a plate of pancakes, just as high, if not higher. We all have our plate. It's just a matter of how we can take some of those pancakes off that plate to manage and to realistically deal with what we have to cover each day with our kids. And it does, you're right, it does seem like it's an added, thing, another 2 or 3 or even more pancakes to effectively have a STEAM lesson or to get in there and use that lab effectively. But it's not easy though to how can I tie in engineering to my reading lesson or my math lesson and that's the challenge and not everybody can do that, but I think over time, since it's kind of fresh, it's becoming a newer thing. You're going to have those leaders, those innovative teachers who are going to do it, and then you're going to have those that are kind of just follow along. I think that's what
that's all it takes. Once a couple teachers get a grasp for it and start doing it, I think other teachers will just follow suit. It's just going to take a couple leading teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those that are willing to take that little risk and to step out, and it's going to be again, it's extra work, it's more effort, but in the end, who are we doing this for? We're doing it for the kids, right? Not for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, back when the district was pushing manipulatives for math, I remember teachers venting about that, going, oh, great, now here's another thing that we now have to do. And now it's just natural. I don't know any teachers that aren't using the manipulatives. It just makes sense. Like, it's just easier to teach using those. And
the conceptual math model.
Exactly.
Let's get the stuff in the kids. Let's get the materials in the kids' hands.
Yeah.
And let them maneuver it around, because you and I might come up with the same answer, but we might come at it differently. And that's the whole point about conceptual math is there's not, the algorithms that we learn, are back in the day. We have to provide opportunities now for kids who can think,
differently,
way outside the box,
yeah,
to get to that same point.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen with the STEAM lab is in a couple of years we'll look back on it and think, wow, I can't even remember not using the STEAM lab, this great resource we now have. I think it's just nervous. I think teachers are just nervous at
Well,
first.
I know last year, we had it completed last year when I was still there at LaSalle, and it was kind of mid to just right after January, February. It was fully complete and ready to go. And, a few people went in there just to kind of taste it and sit in the, so to speak, sit in the different, the flexible seating, the modern seating, the classroom, whatever, however you want to phrase it. but nothing was really going on substantially with an actual lesson. It was just more like, well, let's go in here and use this as our learning environment for today.
Exactly.
And I know when I went in, I spoke with Heather Campbell. Took Keel and I into the STEAM lab when we visited last week or a couple weeks ago. And it didn't look like it was used very much, and it's just a process, and it's just going to take that time, and everybody's still sorting through all the other stuff that we have to do, all the assessments, all the different, and then not to mention, teach every day, right?
Yeah.
So
you're right. STEAM Lab's not getting used much yet, but it will be.
Yeah.
I think it will be. Yeah.
And again, it comes back to, it's not going to be a full staff type implementation, so to speak. It's going to be those few teachers getting in there and word of mouth and like, oh yeah, you could do this, and this is all the materials you need, and it's pretty simple and that kind of thing,
Yeah. When's your STEAM lab going to get finished?
Well, I know that they're going to start right away, meaning like soon.
That's good.
So Greg Witten, he's great. He's one of the facilities guys, and he just comes out and he just, it's like you and your former, your father in the construction, and I look at your rabbit cage when at your home. This thing is beautifully designed. That rabbit's like in the penthouse suite. When you have that kind of thinking, that construction or that background like Greg Witten does, he says, oh, I can do that. I'll take out that light up there, and I can put in this cross beam here, and this and that. It's just amazing. And I have I cannot think that way at all. I am very sequential, concrete, kind of like, okay, walk me through this. But I'm guessing 2 or 3 months, hopefully by February and maybe sooner. I don't know.
I bet it's going to look great.
The one thing he asked me was, do you think we could do some work when classes are in session? I go, you know what? We'll work around it because I want this thing done.
Oh, good.
They'll do some of the major, stuff on weekends, but some of the interior stuff that they can work without too much disruption, they'll do,
Yeah, if you want to get stuff done, they're going to have to work during the work day.
Come on. I said, come on. I'll move these teachers out for a couple days, and we'll get them. We do have empty rooms at our school at Bethune. I won't literally move them out, but we'll do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. And that's that's the beauty of this staff, and with my energy that I've brought in, and my enthusiasm and my successes, and they're willing to bend and be flexible and grow and do what it takes as well. And that's refreshing. Not that we didn't have it at LaSalle. We did. We had fantastic innovators there and teachers who would do anything for me in our school. And it's just nice that, at a new school, when you go in, you kind of think you might face some, a little bit of, not resistance, but just a little, hesitation or whatever.
Course.
But no.
You're not getting any of it.
No.
That's so good.
No, we just want to do what's right for kids in our community. The community deserves better, and they've struggled, honestly, for the last few years. So we're getting them back slowly, one parent at a time. Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
Is there an administration coaching model in the district? Like, I know there's instructional coaches. Is there any coaching for admin?
Well,
not that you need it, but
no. I think there's some people who can that utilize newer principals can get some mentoring from, and the district does have a couple people like Sandy Sanford or Carol Farrow who will mentor and help younger or newer principals. But it's usually you get your experience through being an assistant principal. And I did that for 5 years, 6 years total, and just got tremendous experience doing that. With discipline, with just learning from my colleagues that I worked with, the principals that I worked for. That's kind of your training ground. And then when you become principal, you just have to kind of just be your own, find your niche, making sure you're the right fit for the community. Yeah, and that's important too.
I know they team you up when you have principals meetings. They're not teaming you up by, clearly, Mr. G, you gotta be with him. You gotta go with her.
Yeah,
exactly. Do they do that?
No. It's just it's basically the clusters are principal clusters, and we go. It's primarily geographic.
Oh,
so it'd be me and at Bethune, and Jennifer over at Rainbow Ridge, and Tammy at at Victoriano and Katie at LaSalle, kind of that area, our little area.
Gotcha.
And then like over by Triple Crown, they'd have.
And they do the Mead Valley area.
Yeah, and then exactly.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so it's not
has nothing to do with not ability, but seniority.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just geographic.
You'd think that it would make sense for them to do that, but I guess do they not just once you're admin, they just think you don't need help?
No, I mean, they provide help. If you're struggling, I mean, there's been administrators in the past that have been, like. If you're struggling in a particular area, or they see that you need some help, they provide it. They either through themselves or others, but they just don't let you hang out there to die. They do support you and give you opportunities.
So I don't know if you can even answer this. So how, in your experience, how do you get I'm just going to make up a name. How do you get a Mr. Smith and you get a Mr. Warren? One is a dynamic principal that loves the kids and the community. I don't want to say he's copying you, because he's not copying you, but he's very much like you.
He's copied a lot of my attendance things. It's put him to the top that he freely admits that he's done, and it's okay. That's the collaboration.
Yeah,
piece.
it's the collab. But then,
Corby, take all the stuff you need.
So how do you get two principals that go in different directions?
Well, just different personalities, different experiences. I mean, everything comes down to it's just all that. It's just that combined. It's just like the teacher. How do you get teacher X, or teacher? They can be right next to each other, have the same curriculum, have virtually they can swap kids, and they can have two different effects on the kids, because it's all about what it's always this. And I've said this as an administrator and a teacher. It's people, not programs, right?
Right.
It's all about the people, and it's all about the person. The most important person at the school is the teacher. It's not the principal. It's the teacher. You're in front of those kids, those 30 kids every day waiting. That's where those relationships come in. That's why, I told one of the first things I told my teachers at Bethune. I said, I do not want any of you to yell at any student at my school. Let me do that. I'm the principal. If you yell at a kid, what's going to happen? They're going to shut you down. You will never get them back. And you think, they'll get over it. That is deep rooted. And people fail to understand that. I said, I will be the one to yell at kids if I need to yell at a kid. You don't yell at students. If you're upset, count to 10. I have this thing, and you saw it at LaSalle. S plus R equals E.
Situation plus response equals your environment.
Or your experience. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So the S, the situation you can't change, right? If a little Johnny is messing up on the playground and he kicks the ball after the bell rings, he does it 10 times in a row. So that's the situation. When he comes to you and you hear the supervision coaches or the recess coaches go, yeah, your student again kicked the ball over the fence at the end of the bell. Your response, that S plus R, the response is you can yell at that kid. And half the time when you yell at kids, many of those kids have been yelled at home constantly, so the yelling is not even effective.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's just like another person. Yip, 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 yip. So that your response is going to create that experience. And if you're out there yelling at kids, whether it's that kid who kicked the ball over the fence after the bell rang, or whether they didn't do their homework for 4 days in a row, you yell at that kid, and that experience that you create is a negative one. It's very difficult to get that back. And kids have very good memories. And what's our number one job? Is to develop relationships and rapport with kids. And then you've just violated that. So one of the very first things I told my Bethune teachers is you do not yell at kids. If you do that, you're just setting yourself to lose that kid forever. And you're going to have them for 180 days. And that's a long time to be, have a kid look at you like, why did you yell at me? You didn't have to yell at me. You could have said, you know what, Johnny, this is the third time you've kicked the ball over the fence. Come on, we got to do something different now. Mm-hmm. I mean, the tone creates the experience. Mm-hmm. Your response creates that experience. So that S plus R is critical. I have that right in my office, opposite on the opposite wall. So if parents come in and they're yelling at me and doing this and that, I look at that and I go, my response is going to create this experience. I can get defensive, and if they're accusing me of this or that, or if they're yelling at one of my teachers, my response is going to determine that. So I always have to keep that in the back of my mind and let them get it out. Because half the time when the parents come in and complain or either about me or teachers, they just got to get it out. And most of the time we can shake hands. 99% of the time we shake hands, fix it, we'll work on it together and we'll move forward. So that's critical in getting that relationship piece with kids. If you yell, you lose the kids, and then what do you do? Right?
What's your opinion about sending them up to talk to you, having a teacher send a student up to talk to you?
I love it. And
I do too, but I've had admin that have mentioned to me what's the word that this person's used? It takes the power away from you.
Well, it does take away. Yes, I've heard that phrase too. Sending a student to the office takes the power away from the teacher.
Yeah.
But that can also work both ways. I told my new teachers, you know what, if you want to send somebody up, because honestly, the kids at Bethune were not under control at all. And last year, I mean, it's just horror story after horror story. So I said, let's start this year. If you need to send somebody up, we don't need to do a low-level referral. We don't need to write it down. If you want me to talk to them, I can talk to them. Tell me what they did. Tell me what you want, and I'll do it. And that's just the way I've always operated as a school administrator. But when you're talking about the power of continually sending them up without having to deal with it, then you're giving up your power somewhat. But there's that fine balance that you have to create. If they're doing something that needs to go to the office, then they go to the office. But as a teacher, you should have your plan, your discipline plan, your progressive discipline plan, that you can deal with that. And then the principal's office should be one of the last resorts.
Agree.
And so, a phone call home is very powerful for most kids. Mm-hmm. Some it doesn't matter, because we just know that some homes it's just that way.
Yeah.
But that's a very powerful thing. And then, but I don't think you lose total power. But if you do it just every time, then you're like saying, like, I can't handle this. I can't do this. And like, what, I'm going to put this on you, administrator. This is what you get paid for, is to handle all this stuff,
right?
Not me. So I think you have to kind of find that balance of, okay, what's the offense? What did they do? And what have I done? What interventions? That's this whole response to intervention piece. What have I done to help? Have I counseled? Is this child reaching out? What are they reaching out for? What is going on? So, and I do a lot of that too. I do a lot of that counseling. Like, what's going on? Tell me why are you acting out like this? We just talked about this,
Mm-hmm.
So that power, you don't want to give up your total power by just completely avoiding dealing with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm referring to, like, let's say a teacher has whatever a 5-step discipline process, even if it's like a clip chart or whatever. Yeah. If the last step is going to the office, I just personally feel like the office shouldn't say, well, did you fill out form A and then make sure that you staple it to form D and C? That's in triplicate. It's like,
I think different principals handle things differently. So, if you told me and you called me and said, I'm sending Susie up because she's just had a bad day.
Yeah.
And she's clipped down. I've called home.
Yeah.
I've done those things. I would like you to talk. There would never be a question about why.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that's a good thing. And I think if it's repetitive, it does take away the power from the teacher. But I think it also empowers the teacher a little bit, in that you could say, okay, Johnny, the last step was office. You need to go see, Mr. G, and they don't want to go. All of a sudden, the class is going, oh shit! Like, okay, I don't want to go either. I don't know, instead of like going, well, Johnny, I don't know what to do with you, so I'm just going to move you for the 5th time. And the class is figuring out, oh shit, nothing really is going to happen to me, so why am I going to listen to,
Yeah, that's that thing that, you don't want to give that, like, oh, they can talk like that, they can behave like that, and nothing happens. Yeah, that's a horrific situation.
Yeah.
And that's what you were referring to in your couple of podcasts ago about that music teacher who, that you were talking about, like, okay, this kid is just 1,000,000% disrespectful.
Yeah.
Talking all that in front of all the kids, knows he's being recorded.
Yeah.
And
he's on center stage.
Only doing that because, not necessarily from the school discipline piece, but It's very apparent. You know, I was thinking about this after I listened to that podcast, and I read it. I heard about it that night that it happened.
Of course.
I mean, I saw it on the news and all that. We were just disgusted with the whole situation. But we haven't heard from his parents. That's what I'm interested in. And I even tried Googling, like, you know, music teachers, students, parents.
Me too.
What did they come out and like say about this?
Yeah.
Because they may sue, they may do this and that, and all this other stuff.
I haven't seen anything as to whether they've pressed charges.
Because
anything.
the biggest consequence should come from them.
Agree.
You know, and that's coming back to what we're talking about here with our kids is that the parents are the ones that should, you know, the school can suspend, but suspension for some, and in many cases, is just a day off or whatever. But the real consequences come from parents, and that's in some cases very severe, in other cases completely non-existent. And so you can kind of, you know, go from there with that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
But, you know, as an administrator, I mean, I do one of my biggest, I told you earlier we talked about, you know, family first, and I've always done everything I could to support teachers. And sometimes teachers make, you know, not in this case of this music teacher, that's a completely different cup of tea. But, you know, they either say or do something, you know, that's, you know, either wrong or, you know, parents take offense to. And, you know, and I've always supported my teachers, you know, and if I have to call them in and the parents complaining about, and there's a lot of parents. In fact, I've told you guys this and other staffs is that, you know, there's a lot of times where a parent has come in and complained about a teacher that the teacher would never even know, because I have to discern, you know, do I need to address this with the teacher, or is this, you know, or can I just, it's a lot of judgment calls, but there are times where, you know, I've just called the teacher and said, you know what, you can't tell a kid to shut up 5 times, you know, as a simple example. You know, it's just not the way to talk to kids. But I've always supported my teachers. And in fact, earlier this year, I'm a kindergarten teacher at my school, and she was very nervous because I'm the new principal, right? And this parent's complaining about her and yada, yada, yada. And she wanted a meeting, and I said, fine. I go, let me just take care of this. And you just come in and don't say anything until I either ask you something and let the parent get it out, because that's oftentimes what they want, right? We've talked about that earlier too. Just get it out, and then let me handle it. And I did. And the teacher had to talk a little bit, but, you know, afterwards she said, man, I was so worried and so nervous, and you really supported me, and I appreciate. And she had done nothing wrong, but it's just that mentality. But my mentality is I got to support my people, because if they're worried about me, then they're not going to do their job. And that's what I want them to worry about. Is I want them, those 30 little kids in front of them every day, that they got to focus on, not with Mr. G, like, oh my God, a parent called and, you know, didn't like how I dismissed the kids. You know, whip-de-doo, right? So family and supporting the teachers, and that you create, and then that high relationship rapport thing and high visibility, that's and a lot of effort.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say, Brian, you know this, you probably heard this, oh, we can do it, Mr. G does. We can do it. Yeah, anybody can do it, but it just takes time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears, you know? I mean, and who's willing to give that? If you're willing to do that, then you can have success. If not, then you'll just be ho-hum.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. That's powerful. I do remember you doing that numerous times about you. You know, there's so many, you'd tell our staff, there's so many times that parents would come to me and you guys have no idea.
That's right.
Because I got your back, and, you know, a lot of times they just want to vent. They just want to get it out. And then I tell them, you know, I understand.
I'll take care of it.
I'll take care of it. And, you know, in your small way, you take care of it, and it helps both sides. And
well, sometimes when you know, if you bring something up, I mean, you have to bring up something that has relevance.
Of course.
But these other things that then you just get people worried and thinking about things and worried about this or that. And, you know, I just felt that, you know, there was bigger fish to fry oftentimes.
Right. Yeah.
And so supporting I just really believe that, just like me as a principal, I would expect my assistant superintendents that are above me, the assistant soups and the superintendent, support me. And you know, I've had parent complaints, you know, about me, if this or that, for whatever reason. And, you know, and I don't worry about that, because 99.99% of the time I know what I've done is what's right. And what other people see is not always the same thing as being right. So they'll complain about it.
Of course.
And just deal with it. You know, I think actually this year was the funniest thing. Well, the Bethune staff, I thought it was funny. It was the third day of school, and I had a formal complaint against me because I wasn't going to let this parent berate one of my teachers. So I kicked the parent off my campus.
Nice.
Yeah. You can't go. You just got to leave right now. You can't talk. What you're saying is not true. Because they were the ones that were trying to get everybody, rile up everybody, talk. And so they filed a complaint. It was like the third day. I go, you guys, this is a record for Mr. G. A complaint on the third day of school.
Sweet.
But they knew I was supporting them.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, oh, wait a minute. You're not going to let this parent talk like that about us in front of me and to other parents? Thank you, Mr. G. And so that's just how you handle it.
Powerful move right there.
It carried some. I didn't.
Well, you're not doing it for that.
No, not at all. But in hindsight, as the staff talks, and oh wow, look at what he did for us. Third day, he didn't even know us, and he did that for us. So
yeah, I remember a parent. I keep going back on these old stories. I remember a parent coming in,
we're old,
and venting to you about a teacher on our campus that dismissed her students late at dismissal. And you just kind of listen. Yep, I completely understand. Yeah, I respect your time, and that is important that they come out on time. And absolutely, parent totally cooled off, shook your hand, and then left. And I remember meeting with you, and you were absolutely very respectful of their opinion. But you're like, this is unfortunately, parents just need to get it out sometimes. And I was like, are you gonna talk to the teacher? And you're like, no.
You're always trying to find out the scoop, aren't you?
Well, I wasn't trying to find the scoop, but I was, I'm curious how the process works.
Right.
I remember you saying, you're like, no, this teacher is not habitually late. Something must have come up, and what am I going to
think about that? Yeah, exactly.
Am I going to make this teacher sad for a couple days? Now they think the principal's on their back about dismissing. No, something must have come up. It's let it go.
Think about it. I think back to when I was a teacher. Like, oh my God, you look up, and that's why one of the things that I've always done at my schools, and I did this at LaSalle, I did it at Triple Crown, is that afternoon announcement. It's kind of like the warning, okay.
Pack up.
And I do a morning announcement, song of the week and all that, the pledge, and I do an afternoon one every day with the kids. You know that. The morning is to greet everybody, go over the announcements, because while people think that they read all their emails, because that is a major form of our communication, they don't always get them in time. So,
right.
The morning announcements just announce what's going on that day, what's coming up. We do a song of the week. We do the Pledge of Allegiance and that. And then at the end of the day, I say goodbye to the kids and kind of wrap it up. Remember, the book fair is going on and yada, yada, yada. And so that's kind of a trigger like, oh, okay, I have 15 minutes to get.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, sometimes get away from you. You're in the middle of something hot and heavy. You stop, you listen to the announcements, and then you get back into it, and all of a sudden, oops, the dismissal bell. So, there's so many different circumstances for that. So, that's just like, but if it's an everyday thing, like you said, if it's every single day,
well, then you got to address it.
Then we go for it.
But I remember you saying that. You're like, no, this teacher doesn't need me to say something.
Yeah.
This teacher is aware that she dismissed late, You
got to pick and choose, man. What has value?
Yeah, that's right. Well, what do you say? Were you running late on your time here?
I have no idea what time it is.
5:05.
I'm good. I can talk forever.
You good on that?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm good too, man. Just keep on rolling. What's the plan for the Christmas program? You doing it for 3 days?
Yep.
Two grade levels?
Yeah. We do a 4 o'clock and a 6 o'clock show. That's that's the standard thing. We do kinder, TK. What's interesting is I have, this is crazy, 180 4 and 5 year olds. Now, we have at LaSalle and other schools, I've had, 4 or 5 kindergarten classes, 30 kids per class, 120 kids. Like right now, you have 4K classes at LaSalle, 120 kids. I have 2 transitional kinder classes. We call that in California TK. I'm not sure what they call it around the country. And then I have 4 kinder classes. So I have 2 TK and 4, so that's 6 classes of 4 and 5 year olds.
Oh my goodness. Are the TK classes 30 students each or roughly about that?
Yeah. They're
full classes.
Yeah, they do, and they do the early bird, later gator schedule as well. So so I have 180 little 4 and 5 year olds, and it's the darndest thing. I walked by and they're all having lunch. 180 4 and 5 year olds having lunch, Picture that. And then I walk by and they're all just screaming. See, this is the thing. And this is the short time I've made such a connection with them and all the kids. And they're just screaming, Mr. G! It's almost embarrassing. But, I mean, they have no control. I mean, we're talking 4 and 5-year-olds. And I just have to walk by there as quick as I can. If anybody's walking with me, they go, hurry, 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 so they can get back to eating. The supervision, the coaches hate it because they all get, the kids are like little ants everywhere.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we have just a large number of 4 and 5-year-olds. And then I only have 3 classes at every other grade level, so...
Okay, so a little smaller than
yeah. But the problem is with that is like, then you don't have 4 or 5 like at LaSalle, 4 or 5 teachers at a grade level where you can kind of spread out some of the responsibilities. It's like 3 people at grades 1 through 5 at each grade level that they've all got to kind of, and I have, like I was telling you earlier, newer teachers. And so the pancake plate is full, it's high, it's up there. But
yeah. A lot of responsibility.
But yeah, so it's
those kids love chanting, Mr. G.
Oh, it's so embarrassing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
it
not.
really is.
You love it.
Well, I don't dislike it, but it's like, okay, you guys, like, what's the most embarrassing? I'll tell you, it's not embarrassing like if I walk by when they're having lunch or outside or inside. It's embarrassing when they do it like at an assembly when there's parents there and they're starting to. I think like the parents must think like, does he train these kids to chant his name? And I'm gonna go, no, I don't. They just do it, I can't help it.
It's like a compliment. That can't be.
I know, but
it's be embarrassing.
Well, it's just kind of uncomfortable. Seriously, it's when I'm with the kids alone, I deal with it. When there's a whole room full of parents and they're all chanting, it's just like they're all like looking at me like, "What's up, dude?"
You're so good at being the center of attention. But you get so shy about being the center of attention. You've always been that way. You get a little like self-conscious about like.
Well,
what are people
I
thinking?
Yeah, I know. It's just, because it's not normal when people chant your name.
It's normal for you.
Well, I know, but it's still, no matter what. It's a very good compliment, and and the reason why I kind of brought that up, it's just. It comes back to that relationship. I mean, I'm making connections with 4-year-olds. I've never, at Bethune, we have like two TK classes. That's a tongue twister if you're not careful. 2 TK, 4 kinder. Then we also have a county visually impaired. I have several blind students on campus.
Wow, cool.
A blind teacher, Mr. Howard. He's their instructor. And then we mainstream some of the kids into class with their machines and.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's really, really cool. And I met with the county because it's on our campus, but it's a county program, the visually impaired, the VI class. And I met with the principal and some of the aides and such, and they always felt isolated. They always felt like they were never a part of the school.
Of course.
And so now they get to come to our Student of the Week assemblies. They get recognized as Student of the Month, and you should see those kids. I mean, they come up with me, and and I tell you what, Brian, I have never seen, and I'm going to continue this with another part of what's happening at Bethune. Our kids are so respectful and so tolerant and so amazing, and they recognize these kids, and they're just looking forward. I said, there's a step here, and we turn. I go, everybody's looking at you. We're on stage, and they're shaking. They're happy, and they get to do their shout outs, and they get to do everything. And so so we have a bunch of TK and kinder, and then we have the visually impaired, and then also I have a life skills class. And that is severe life skills students who are primarily all in wheelchairs, very disabled, have 2 great teachers, Miss Halliburton and Miss Brannon, and they work with these kids. And they told me the same thing at the beginning of the year. They go, we always felt kind of like never a part of it. People are kind of, not afraid, but just kind of distance themselves from these kids because,
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, you just have to have compassion. Yeah, these are kids. They couldn't help how they were, what's affected them. So I go in their classroom. Funny story is I go in their classroom a few weeks back, and I'm sitting there hanging out with them, and there's aides. There's a lot of aides because it's almost 1-to-1. It's not quite, but there's a lot of adults in there with the kids because it's high need. And I look up at the speaker. I just happen to look up, and my picture is next to the speaker, like my mugshot. And I'm going like, what the hell? I said to Paula, the teacher, I go, what is that? She goes, oh, Mr. G, we have your picture there. And so when you do your morning announcements and afternoon announcements, the kids look up and they can see that that's you talking.
Okay.
And I go, okay, you could have put up a better picture. Could you? Where's my hair and makeup person?
Yeah, they want to know who's talking.
But a cool thing, a cool compliment happened at the last assembly. It was at the honor roll assembly last week, and the life skill kids came to the assembly. We recognized several of them for attendance and honor roll. And all the aides were there, the teachers were there, and we got them up front just like we do and take pictures just like everybody else gets to, there was no difference. And then just instinctively, I just, because they all got help coming up to the stage and, turning the wheelchairs and facing the crowd and such, and I complimented and recognized all the instructional aides. And I just did it because I just, hey, give them a hand too, because they... And later on, Hortensia, one of the aides, came up to me and said, Mr. G, I've worked here for 14 years, and not one time has ever a principal acknowledged us in an assembly.
Wow.
And I go, I said, you're messing with me, Hortensia. She goes, no, Mr. G, I'm not. I go, well, gosh, I mean, look at how much you do for these kids every day and the smiles that they have on their face when they see you. And I go, that was just easy. I mean, that was nothing. But she goes, it meant a lot to us. And so
it's the little things.
It is the little things. It's the little things that add up. But, you think about 14 years and not be recognized.
That sucks.
Yeah. And their job, they are doing, they're feeding them. They're taking care of all their toiletry stuff. It's a challenge. I mean, and bless her heart and bless that whole team. And I call them a team because it's fantastic. And I go over there when they're out at recess time, and some of them just wander off this way, and others, kind of out. And I always try to make contact with them and make them feel like they are a true part of our Wildcat family. And so it's pretty cool.
What age group is the Life Skills program?
It's basically K-5, but I mean, so age chronologically by age, that's kind of how it's done.
But it could be anywhere, right? The Life Skills program will take a kindergartner all the way up to a fifth grader at your school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's pretty. So we have the visually impaired, we have the life skill classes, we have, and it's, and even with I was telling you about how the kids and the life skill kids primarily come to the upper grade assemblies. And I told this to the fifth graders. I was just so, because you never know how kids are going to respond, or how they're going to look or act or how they're going to be respectful or not. And, every time I've recognized either the visually impaired kids or the life skill kids, the audience, they hoot and holler just as loud. They sit and listen, and and so I complimented them. Those third, fourth, and fifth grade students at that particular seminar. I said, you guys, I've got the chills here, just standing here watching how you respectfully acknowledged all of our students. I go, that's very powerful, and that shows me that the C in our claws, you care about everyone. I said, give yourselves a hand. They all clap for themselves.
Cool.
It was really powerful, and it's really impressive to watch because sometimes kids can be very mean,
Absolutely.
We know that.
Well, I think there's a huge benefit to having a life skills program at your school because a lot of kids aren't exposed to that.
Right.
And I think if you're exposed to it and you see it at your school, you can understand, honestly, yes, they're different, but they're not they just visually, maybe they're just a little different, but we're all visually different.
Yeah, they can't run or jump, but they still can listen and think and
exactly.
look. Yeah.
I think, it builds huge amounts of compassion. I remember Columbia, when I was there, Columbia Elementary had a life skills program, and there's a couple kids in wheelchairs that,
Yeah, I think your point is really well taken. It gives you that exposure to like those who probably will never ever see it. It's not in their families.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes too, like I was thinking about Hortensia when she made that comment and about the compliment. I was just thinking that there might be one or two students in that audience of my student population that may be motivated to work in that field just because they've been exposed to it.
Yes, exactly.
So you never know.
What I can't remember his name, and unfortunately, he's not at our school anymore. But last year, he was in a wheelchair.
Aaron, no, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the nicest
Angel.
kid. Angel.
Yeah.
Angel. What a nice kid.
Yeah.
And it was neat. It was so neat to see the kids interact with Angel.
They take care of him.
Yes.
I remember, many times, he'd hold his book bag and somebody would push him around and help him. And that's just good hearts. It's nice to get that good feeling, that good, wholesome, I'm going to help somebody who can't necessarily
I think
do it
it's
like
great. I taught Saturday school a couple times, and Angel was in Saturday school. And just to see some of the kids that, I could just tell they were like a knucklehead. They just, make bad choices to get attention, but yet they were could not have been sweeter with Angel.
No.
And, to his credit, Angel never wanted to help. It was always
he didn't need it, but you know what? It's just like you. If you busted your knee or something, you want to help. You want to help out. But in Angel's situation, he's permanently in there, and so to have a fourth or fifth grader just reach out and have that good friendship, and and Angel will remember that for years.
Of course, yes,
that's the beauty of it. And we were talking about that earlier. Is this, what do you remember from elementary school? What experiences? And that's what I come back to as a school leader, is I want my kids to remember that I went to the best school. I will remember Mr. G, the Fallout song for centuries. I'll remember my teacher. Who's your best teacher? I want those years to be the best years. And those memories, those certain things. I have kids tell me, Mr. G, I remember you at the trunk or treat. You were dressed as a matador, and you had that funny looking bull that you made out of paper mache, which was horrible, but it worked for the photos,
Yeah.
So just anytime you can create those memories for kids, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, they start attaching those good memories with this is what education is. And then as they get older, all of a sudden, education and learning is something that, creates good memories, not just something that sucks because I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And I don't get good grades.
Yeah, if I'm not the one with my hand always up,
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I really like your studio. This is really cool. So this is what podcast is this? Is this 40?
It depends on when I release it. It's likely going to be 48. I knew that when you and I met, I knew that we were going to go for a long time. So
it's going to be a double session.
No, I'm going to record it all in one. If it's 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't care. It'll all be one episode. But I like to release on Friday, and tomorrow being Thanksgiving, I wanted to allow myself some time to relax. So I didn't want to edit a 3-hour podcast. So this Friday, I'll release one on parent conferences, and then you and I will be the following week. So I have a little bit of time to sit on that.
I waited this long to come on the Lazy Teacher podcast because I wanted to make sure you had sustainability. So episode 48. Yeah, okay. You had 47 ahead of me. I'm good with that now. Okay. You've got a following.
I've proven myself now.
Yes, you've done the job. Very cool. Yeah. I remember when you were thinking about this idea and
so
you
much
made it
fun.
happen. Even our superintendent commented when he came through our school. He was enjoying the content, Mr. McCormick, or Superintendent McCormick. But his comment to me was more like, "How do you do a podcast?" Because he's very technical. He's into the latest and greatest. How do you do a podcast? Is it hard? Is it this or that? And one of the other principals, I think, said, "It's not that difficult." and there you have it. You did it.
Yeah, it's neat. It's cool going to meetings and stuff, and I'm starting to see stickers on people's computers.
Yeah, I didn't get a sticker last time, I don't think.
I didn't give you a sticker?
No.
I'm going to have to give you a sticker.
I'd like a sticker, please. Mm-hmm. And then I heard you talking about like water bottles and...
Yeah, I'm seeing them on water bottles, and what's neat is people...
Oh, you're seeing the sticker? I thought for some reason, maybe I just missed the first one.
Oh, no.
That you were actually selling or giving away water bottles with you on the plastic.
No. It's just my sticker, and people put on different things. But it's neat to like not know somebody, and then you see a sticker on their. You're like, whoa, that'd
be totally cool, actually.
Yeah, I don't come. Hey, where'd you get the cool sticker?
I know that guy. Have you ever listened to the podcast? What's his name? Yeah. Oh yeah, this Pulowski guy. Oh hey. What's your name? Pulowski. That'd be funny.
Yeah, Mr. Warren, he's funny like that. One of his teachers had one of those stickers, and he's like, "Did you know it's this guy right here?" And I'm like, "It's not me. It's not me." "Yeah, it is. Let me tell you how I know him, and we've been friends for yeah."
Well, one of my teachers, Victoria Rocha, said the same thing. She knew about the lazy teacher, and
She's awesome.
yeah. So, well, you know what? It's, I mean, just like we were talking about before we went on the air, is one of your previous guests, the student teacher from Texas.
Yes.
I mean, so you're getting listeners, you're getting people that's tuning into this or listening to your podcast, downloading, streaming, whatever form they're using.
Yeah.
All over the country. That's pretty cool. And then you've got your buddy that does the classroom brew or whatever.
Yeah, Ryan, Classroom Brew.
Yeah, so they're back in like Chicago, right?
He's in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's right. Gosh, he's had some terrible situations. Like he teaches in South Chicago, which is just to hear the stories that they go through, like those kids have a chip on their shoulder from, just terrible upbringing, and there's constantly fights and stuff. Like I'm very thankful that we don't. I mean, I know it's here in California, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I think you get that. You can get that anywhere.
Yeah. You
can get that in any large city. You can get that in. I think just like we were talking about earlier, Brian. It's just that and I'm not sure what kind of teacher that gentleman is, and what kind of how much value. And that's a word I use a lot to my staff. Let's do stuff that has high value. Leave the low value stuff off the plate. But that relationships and rapport, and I think the teachers that develop those relationships, like you and I believe we'd be excellent high school teachers because we'd have that connection, that rapport. So, I mean, there's certain cases where kids are going to just go off, but I think in general, if you create that rapport and relationship, you'll have less and less issues. But the problem is your next door neighbor teacher might not have that, and then all heck breaks loose and crazy stuff happens. But yeah, I can imagine that any large city, any high school, in suburbia or not, it's challenging nowadays. I mean, think about what kids see and how they're exposed to things nowadays, and then they sometimes believe that nothing's going to happen, like we've discussed for an hour earlier today. So
yeah, that's terribly sad. Yeah, I'm thankful too for. I mean, not just because I work in our school district, but our district is very supportive of the schools and staff. And I hear stories just from Ryan and from other teachers that I talk to, just if they don't have the supplies, I don't want to say if I need it, I'm going to get it, but if I need it,
well,
I'm
when your former principal you pretty much.
That is true.
And that's, you know what, and I'm not tooting I don't need to toot my own horn. I know what I did, and the teachers know what I do for them. But, I'd always provide some money at the beginning of the year, and I'm not the only principal that does this. I mean, there's many principals that give their teachers little extra supply monies to get the expo markers, to get the whiteboards, to get the this or that, and I'd always give a little replenishing funds in the middle of the year, and then something at the end of the year to get them started at the next year. I mean, that's just, and as a principal, I would always build that into my site budget, but there are some principals that don't do that, and there are some school districts that don't have the funds to give out to the principals to give to their teachers. So we are blessed in Val Verde. We have a progressive district. We have a progressive superintendent. Our board is excellent. They think about nothing but doing the right things for kids. Our schools are very well kept, and I mean, they're always doing stuff to upgrade. Like I told you earlier, my school got painted, new library. I mean, they gutted the library, and it's now a modern. Looks really cool. You went to it. You came to it the other day, actually.
Beautiful, yes.
So it's a great environment for kids, and I push accelerated reader a lot. So put $18,000 into getting more books for my library. Wow. So we can, if I'm going to push a program like AR, which I highly believe in, then I got to have the materials for the kids to be able to, the choices for kids to read. And so I'm going to put even more into that as my budget becomes stronger. But yeah, it's just, I mean, we're lucky, we're blessed that we're well taken care of. The 1-to-1, I mean, think about that. What districts across the country can provide 20,000, there's about 20,000 kids in our district that we can provide a computer for every single kid.
Yeah, I don't know of hardly any districts that are like that.
Yeah, I haven't done any research on that, but I know that we're grateful, and the kids are, that's the future, right?
The kids are getting a lot out of it.
I mean, I see kids, God, where do you see? I mean, little kids. I mean, they're just basically out of the bassinet, and they're holding a smartphone, And yeah, I get it. Parents use it, occasionally for. Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. I mean, big deal. But at least they can maneuver it, And then by the time they get to talk or walk, they're going to be able to, do PowerPoints, for crying out loud. So, just amazing how the technology has just gone right down to just the infancy, just about for age of students and kids using it.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I'm pretty sure most of the kids at our school have probably surpassed their parents' knowledge in technology. Certainly for spreadsheet creation, document creation, slideshows. I mean, there's kindergartners. It's my second graders this year. They're making like powerful like slideshows that, gosh, I don't even think I was doing that when I was in college.
No, yeah, that's a whole different cup of tea. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. And it's engaging for them, which is excellent.
That's the thing. I mean, you can't what's that old commercial or that phrase? It's you just don't fight it. There's no sense in fighting fate. You gotta just get along with it. Provide them the opportunities with technology, because that's where they're thinking, and provide those lessons. I mean, some teachers use the Chromebooks or the technology for. I'm not saying busy work, but you can occupy kids, but there's some fantastic programs. I love ScootPad. ScootPad is a great program for kids to get on, because it helps. It diagnoses where they are. It doesn't diagnose it. You can assess whether a kid knows a standard or not, and then provides you with practice to get to it so you can master that particular standard. So I love ScootPad. iStation, we use iStation for some data collection as well. And like you said, kids can create stuff like crazy. It's just amazing how talented they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when we first started, I think there was a lot more teachers that maybe used it for busy work. Mm-hmm. But I think as the years are progressing, they're starting to learn like how to get more comfortable with like, oh, okay, here's how Google Classroom works. Here's how this works. And
I think that's a very valid point. You're right. It was like a comfort level. Like, okay, here, you got this tool. Not really sure how I can use it for instruction, but it's just like we were talking about with the STEAM lab. It's going to be the exact same kind of thing. Let's get in there, and then we'll get a few people to get it, and then it's going to take off. So exact same concept.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. By the end of this year, certainly by the end of the following school year, I bet that STEAM lab gets used a lot. Mm-hmm. At your school, my school, certainly. Mm-hmm. Just takes a couple people to get into it and start to figure out, you just gotta dip your toes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, what did you used to say? You gotta go slow to go fast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I kind of had to think about that as there's a bunch of new principals at new schools this year. And, of course, me being one at Bethune, home of the Wildcats, where we motivate, educate, and then we'll dominate, just as a side note. You know me. What do I do every year? I come up with a theme, right?
Yes.
And we create, this is a poster that everybody puts up, but I tie in, whatever it is, to kind of the themes of the staff meetings and to the theme of the year. And this year for Bethune, it's Bethune Wildcats. Motivate. And that's the thing, because the absenteeism, the parents, the staff, quite frankly, they weren't motivated. So first thing on the agenda is let's motivate these. Let's get them excited again about that. And then we educate. So you motivate them, get them excited about going to school and coming and working. And we educate, we teach, we learn, we grow, and then eventually we
dominate.
Not that I'm competitive, and I did share that with the superintendent, Mr. McCormick.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, and of course not. Like we've already discussed.
Mr. McCormick is competitive too.
Well, we compare with other school districts around us about it with everything, graduation rates. It's human nature, right? But there is, with the 4 C's, the communication, the creativity, the critical thinking, and that 4th C is collaboration. And, I think more and more as principals, I used to, honestly, even being in clusters, principal clusters, and we would have meetings, either through our evaluation time or just we'd have cluster time to kind of get together and kind of either come up with some sort of product that we had to do or just talk. I wasn't really, I just kind of did my own thing oftentimes because I knew what I did. Others probably wouldn't want to put the time in. Some would, some wouldn't. So I really wouldn't share all that much. I would just let people hear about our successes, however they happen, But I do share. I've shared a lot of things about how we increased our attendance at LaSalle and became number 1 in the district 2 years ago. And just other things. Some of the younger, I am one of the more veteran principals, so some of the younger principals do come and ask things and, ask for, how do you do this or what do you think about that? And so.
Oh, good. That's what I was asking about before is I didn't know, maybe there's not a mentor program out there, but there's a lot of.
Well, they just reach out. Sometimes there's a lot of communications that go on between principals, and sometimes it's hey, how did you do this, or did you, whatever. But it's not a formal thing. I think that you were kind of asking about. And ours is much more. The communications and the kind of the support that we provide is much more informal.
Yeah.
Somebody may send something like, hey, what do you guys do for this, and then different administrators respond to it, and that's how you kind of get your feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when I was on a 5th grade team at Triple Crown, I remember coming to you and we were trying to, I think at the time we were trying to beat Victoriano. Victoriano always felt like that was the school we were trying to beat. And I remember saying to you, like, it's not working, our team's not coming together and this, that, and the other. And, you were like, Brian, you got to think about it like a canoe. So you're all in the canoe. And if someone on your team isn't rowing good, you just got to row faster. So stop complaining and row faster.
Just pick up the
exactly.
slack.
And I was like, oh, I guess so. I can't kick that person out of the canoe.
No, you could have been whitewater rafting, and that would have been dangerous. To boot them out in the level 5 river. Yeah, you just have to when it comes down to teams, right? You're just talking about your grade level team.
Yeah.
Some teams are really highly, highly effective teams. There's teams and there's groups, right? And there's a whole different kind of descriptors for those. But highly effective teams value each other's opinions. There's a whole slew of things the litany of things you can go down. But all it takes is one person on that team to not really to have the attitude or like I'm going to do it my way and I don't care what you guys are going to do. And that's highly detrimental. But it's also difficult to get everybody. When you believe, this is you believe what I'm doing is right, man. What I'm doing is the best thing for kids.
Right.
And if you believe that, then it's going to be hard to be swayed to say, well, why would I do this if I believe this is really working?
Exactly.
And or if you've had success, right? If you've had success, like, why would I want to do something different if this has worked for me and my kids have shown growth? Because that's what we want, right? That's all we measure. There's a high stakes accountability, but the bottom line is when those second graders this year came to you at level X, when they leave you, grow.
Exactly.
Period. And so there's not comparing like, I have the GATE class, the gifted and talented class, or I have the resource cluster, or it's because you can have any group. It's just, are you moving that group along? Did Johnny and Sally and Susie and Jose and Frankie grow? Did they get better from being 180 days with you? That's the bottom line.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And
but the teamwork piece is, there's a lot of things that you can do as a team. You can look at data. If your kids are doing well in, this particular skill or this particular standard, that's where that good communication comes in. It's like, what did you do? What did you do to help your kids grow like that?
Well, that's that PLC model that we just went
exactly
and talked about. One of the things he said there that I took a lot from was, you don't have to have an effective team with everybody's friends and everybody gets along. It's a matter of I respect you, you respect me. We don't have to agree, but
let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business. Yeah. Your kids are my kids. What can we do to make this better? I don't have to like the way you teach math, but if it's effective, then I'm open.
And it's just a matter of being respectful. You can agree to disagree, but in the end, the ultimate goal is to help the 140 kids or 20 kids at your grade level, and you all have that. If you all have that, like these are our kids, and we're going to work together, then you're on the right track. But it's not always easy, as we all know. I mean, there's a lot of challenges, and that's the job of a good administrator, is to find the teams that are not as highly effective, and find out what's going on and try to support them so that they become effective teams. Like you say, they don't have to go out and be best buddies. They don't have to, go to Christmas parties together, but they have to have one thing in common. That's to help kids grow.
Seems like it's rarely ever divisive. Like, there's two teachers that get along and then another two teachers that get along, but the four don't get along together. Seems like there's always one bad apple, as the expression goes.
In the teaching and the education field, the apple.
Yeah, there's a bad apple that's, makes excuses or whatever the case is.
Maybe they just shouldn't be in the profession, right? You have to have the drive, you have to have the willpower, you have to have the synergy to really want to do this job, because it's getting harder and harder. And it's getting harder. Why? Because of everything that's put on us administrators put on your plate, right? And then it's getting hard because of the way that kids are being raised. Many of them latchkey. Many of them, we have a lot of at-risk students. We have dysfunctional families left and right. That's why that response to intervention is so important. And I'm proud at our schools that we're starting counseling sessions for kids and providing our really good psychologist, Brittany Herman, who's working on talking with kids. I'm trying to do some of that counseling too, to kind of get to that. But it's a challenging career, and it's never going to be easy. So when you have a team that functions well together, fantastic. When you have somebody who's really not in it for the kid and just going through the motions, that creates some disdain, bless you. That creates some disdain, I think, amongst others. So, I don't know. But, right now at Bethune, the teams are the teams of 3 other than kindergarten, which is a team, and TK.
Teams of 4.
They TK and kinder combined, so it's really 6 of them that when they when they have their grade level planning.
They do all their stuff together?
Yeah, pretty much.
They should.
Yeah, and then the good thing about it is they can articulate. The kindergarten teachers know what the TK teachers are working on and kind of prepare them. And that vertical articulation is a big part of PLC too. We talked about that, and I'm providing opportunities for our staff to articulate. I mean, right now we're just getting to know each other and to kind of move forward with our PLC, answering the 4 questions, right? The main 4 questions for PLC. But eventually, then we got to start talking about, okay, what's expected from the grade above us, and what do we need to do to help the grade below us? So that articulation is vital.
You used to do that at the end of the school year when we'd fill out our pink and blues. You'd have us meet with 10 minutes, boom, go to the lower grade, and then you talk. What are our, this is what I want my kids to know when they come in from you, and then you go to the next grade up, and you're like, okay, so now what do you oh wow, you don't need me to teach this? No, we don't even test that. Oh, well, that's good. So we'll shut that part down.
Exactly, and that kind of helped us with our pink and blues, like you said, to kind of place kids for the next teacher. But true vertical articulation to really help solidify what we should cover and what has high value should happen now, this time of year, early in the year, so that way we can...
Ongoing?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So while it was a valiant effort on my part to kind of help, especially the pink and blues for our audience is just the cards that we fill out, pink for girls, blue for boys, and kind of placing the kids based on their program, their grades, and kind of
kind of even out the classes.
Yeah, you balance the classes. You have, you have your highs, mediums, and lows, et cetera, et cetera. So those pink and blues then are placed in piles based on for the teacher for the next year, and then that's how classes are created at the elementary level. High school is a whole different cup of tea with that whole master schedule, but elementary, it's really elementary, my dear Watson. Pink and blues, and then you kind of mix them, make sure you keep. Oh, Johnny can't be with Sammy, and etc. So, but that articulation helped at the end of the year, kind of just to help place kids. But
it also gave us an idea of the following year. Like, okay, 3rd grade doesn't need us to do this because they're not even going to test this. So I'm stressing over whatever, I'm just going to make something up. You
Yeah.
know, subtraction with remainders. Well, it turns out they don't need that or whatever.
Exactly. So but I'm working on with my instructional coach to build in vertical articulation. Say that fast 5 times, and so that way we can kind of make headway throughout the school year and not wait either to the end. Which, I hear what you're saying is is designed to get us going for the following year, but we're right in the middle of it. So
no, it makes more sense to do it ongoing. Yeah.
Ongoing.
Yeah, ongoing. Do you guys meet every Wednesday for PLC?
Every Wednesday,
You do the same thing?
Same thing as last year. I know that you guys have changed it somewhat with the Student of the Week. I still recognize kids every week. I totally believe in affirmation. It is challenging with 100, like I keep bringing these 180 little TKs. I mean, that first assembly that I have it's TKK grades 1 and 2 every Wednesday morning at 8:30. And the first few, I got to say, that was, I look at I have one person helping me, so it's just me and one other, Miss Ariando, Miss A. And we look at each other like, are you ready?
Yeah.
You got your gear on. And it was challenging because, first of all, they've never really had that experience. Their teachers aren't there. First few weeks of school, I mean, I'm going for it because I was determined to provide. That's the one thing that when I met with the staff, the Bethune staff at the end of the last year, when I knew I was coming, I met with them, met with the leadership team. They really didn't have PLC time. It was very fragmented. It wasn't consistent. And it didn't have a lot of value. They didn't place the old administration didn't place a lot of value in it. Or they probably had value in it, but just never made the time for whatever reason. But I said, no, I'm going to give you guys an hour every Wednesday, except for the last Wednesday of the month, because we do a Student of the Month assembly. So we don't do a Student of the Week and Student of the Month at the same week. But so they get one full week. So I'm taking these kids, the primary grades, like I said, TK through 2. I have them in there, and we're doing Student of the Week. We do some morning songs. We get up and boogie down, me and music. And then Mrs. A and I, we get through that. The teachers come get the kids, and the first few were rough. The last 3 or 4, they've shown so much maturity. They've been so much. It's just amazing the difference. And then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade assembly is cake because those kids, we do a lot of.
They're kind of used to it.
They're used to it. They're much more mature. I mean, come on, think about it. A little 4-year-old sitting there for an hour. That's tough. That's why in the middle I get up and we do some songs, we do some movement to get the wiggles out.
Yeah, well, I think any teacher can relate to seeing what an assembly looks like. It's crazy. And then now the principal's the only one that's running the assembly. And teachers are gone because they're meeting in this PLC, professional learning community, where they're getting together and, talking about best practices and how they can help service their kids the best and whatever like that. So you take all the kids at the exact same time and do an award ceremony.
Yes, I'm a local in the Cabeza.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
A lot of principals couldn't do that. And it's not that I am Superman. It just, I find it high value. The teachers to have a solid chunk of time, 1 hour, with the instructional coach, with their mates, to talk about data, to help to go over and to drive their instruction through that data talk. You know what? I can handle 100. I can handle 400 kids at a time. No, I mean, it's getting better, but it was challenging.
Yeah.
But when you recognize kids and we give out, of course, Student of the Week, pencils and pins and brag tags and a little bit of candy just to give them a little sugar. Get them back into class. But so I do that. I do that 2 assemblies every Wednesday while the teachers meet at their particular times. And the instructional coach, Mr. Strathman, he works with them. He creates an agenda. We talk about the one thing about this is I don't have an opportunity. If I had an assistant principal, like I did at LaSalle, every once in a while, I could get them to run the assembly, and I could be in with the PLC. So, but I'm entrusting my coach to work with the teachers and hearing a lot of. I mean, they've never had this, and there've been a lot of positive results and a lot of positive vibes. And after they got the first couple in, because they kind of still had this feeling from last year, like, what
what's it going to be like? What's he like?
So, so it's really cool. So they're getting that done. And
sorry, my son just texted me.
He's hungry.
No, I heard my phone going and vibrating. I'm like, maybe that's him.
See, you're helping him just like you've always helped me. See, technology.
Everybody
it's
comes
always nice
to
to
me.
have a go-to. Well, you are the technology. You are the teacher tech.
I backed out of that this year.
Oh, well, you were for me. That's all that counted.
Yeah, well, that's all
I
that
cared about. What you do now?
That was one of the best things I did was backing out of that. I still get calls, but it's fine because it's the teachers that know
I still
that
call you for crying out loud.
And
I'm
that's
not
good.
even at the same site.
And no, I'm good with that. I'm good with
know?
that. I still get calls from teachers. Hey, can you help me? Of course I'll help you. Or do I need to call the tech? No, I'll help you. It's fine.
I still need you actually to come over to my house and fix my outdoor sound. Remember I told you a long time ago?
I love doing that.
I know. It's probably like it's probably behind the whole console is like wires everywhere. It's probably like one wire that's
just loose.
Come undone.
That's probably all it is.
But my outdoor speakers, when I'm out in the backyard, either not jumping on the trampoline, but watching the kids, because I cannot jump on a trampoline, or I'm lounging in my doughboy pool. I'd like to have my tunes out there, but it can't. It's all set up. I'm just can't get it out there.
I'll swing by and check it out.
That'd be cool.
Are you still grilling with your
Traeger?
Your Traeger, yeah.
Oh, come on! Actually, yesterday we're doing 2 Thanksgivings. We did one yesterday. So I smoked a big old turkey.
No kidding.
Yesterday.
How big a bird?
It was a 21-pounder.
What?
I had it in the Traeger from 10 a.m. I smoked it for 2 hours till noon, and then I put it at 325 for the rest of the time until I have a digital thermometer, a Traeger thing, so it just tells me right when it's at 165.
How'd it come out?
Oh, delicioso.
Yeah.
Ranting and raving. The whole crowd loved it.
Do you get that nice smoky taste to it?
Oh, it's got that little
crisp
ring. Definitely the crisp on the outside, but it has that little pink.
The smoke ring, yeah.
Yeah. So for the actual Thanksgiving, since we did that with Jennifer's family, we're going to do baby back ribs on actual Thanksgiving. So if you want to come on up, there'll be some. I'm sure there's always I make a ton of baby backs, so I'll smoke those bad boys.
Maybe I will drop by tomorrow.
Yeah, fix my stereo and have a few ribs. Yeah, because it's going to be pretty chill. Yeah, so we did a little Thanksgiving a little early because of Jennifer's sister had to get back to work, and so we did a Tuesday. It's kind of nice actually. When I was cleaning up last night, I was thinking, man, I don't have to do this. I'm done. This is it. I can sit there and watch football all day, throw on my ribs. That's easy because you don't have to worry about all the other fixins and the company and all that.
Yeah, you're just doing ribs, right?
I'm just making dinner for my family. It's chill. I'll watch the 3 football games and have a couple of ice cold Pepsis and enjoy the day.
So is that the move? Is to go to a pellet grill like that?
Well, I like it. I mean, the beauty of it is it's electric, so you can set the temperature. You never have to open the lid, and it just circulates. There's a fan that just circulates that smoke and that warm air.
And you can keep it outside, right?
Oh yeah, it's totally outside. It's like a regular.
It's like a regular grill, right?
You haven't seen my Traeger?
I haven't seen it.
Dude, that's the best. I looked at the grill out in your backyard. Maybe for Christmas you should treat yourself. You'll never go back.
Well, that's the thing is I grill like ribeyes every Sunday. I grill a lot, but every Sunday it's like tradition.
Is that charcoal or is that gas?
Gas. And it's so unpredictable, the heat zones and it.
Well, maybe you need to come over and try another Traeger. Didn't I cook for you a while back?
Didn't I? You cooked for me a bunch. I don't know.
Well,
at your house, I'm not sure.
Well, anyhow, come on.
I remember fixing your worm drive. Does that happen again?
The worm drive.
I should be more specific.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't remember
that.
The Traeger, the worm drive on your the auger.
Yeah.
It got. I guess you had pellets in there. They got wet.
Yeah.
They soaked up and they froze.
Got as hard as a cement,
like concrete. Yeah. Does that happen still, or was that?
No, that was the one time that I failed to take care of it and cover it when the rains came. And that's
so as long as you cover it, you don't have to empty out the auger or make sure there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that's a lot of work.
No.
Okay, you just make sure it's covered so the water doesn't get in there.
Keep the pellets dry.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of different flavored pellets: the hickory, the pecan, the apple, the mesquite. But yeah,
and they're super efficient, to my understanding, right? Like you don't need a whole lot of pellets.
No, it cooks it and it sets the temperature right there, and it just gives that great smoke. And you know what? And plus, what's better when you go through the neighborhood and you smell somebody? You know, even the old charcoal days. You go, somebody's grilling.
Oh yeah.
When I fire up that Traeger, man, it's just like. It's mouth-watering.
Really?
It's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, come by. Have some ribs.
How do they measure? Like I know gas is measured by like it's a 4-burner, it's a 6-burner.
Yeah.
Does they do like cubic space or whatever?
Well, yeah. I mean, the grill rack itself, I think they do in like cubic inches or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is just it's there's no burners. It's just this
heat source.
This auger thing goes down, and there's a little lighter thing, and it's a little lighter thing, and the auger thing. And these things.
Very technical here, Mr. G.
And then it just simply starts a little fire, and then wood pellets go in there, and this little.
You have to tone down your descriptions there, Tom. I'm not sure if we're following here.
Well, you know what?
You're getting very scientific.
Look it up online for crying out loud, okay?
Okay. So do you wish you had a bigger one?
No, it's good. None. I actually, when I bought my Traeger, I got the Mac Daddy. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And
it's sufficient.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It fits a lot. In fact, yesterday I did the 21-pound turkey in a basting bin because I like to baste it after, and I did a 12-pound ham right next to it in a bin. So in a basting tin. So that was perfect.
Wow.
That was delicious. The ham, I'd never really done a ham before.
You did a turkey and a ham at the same time?
Yeah.
You fit both?
Yeah.
Wow.
Come on, man. Yeah, it's good. I put a little bit of brown sugar over that ham, and I squeezed some pineapple juice in there.
Oh.
And I had some today before I came over, a little sandwich. Delish. It was good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be my Christmas
Traeger,
present.
yeah, you should, man. Seriously. It's good. There's a lot. Check it out online. Good stuff. I love food. That's why my knees are bad.
That's why you're such a good cook. That should be your answer.
I do love cooking. I do love cooking for people. I do like that. I do like taking care of. I like serving people. Just like I serve at school with my job. We're serving the public. I don't know. It sounds kind of corny, but I like to be a host. I like to feed people, and
you're a people pleaser.
I like to make appetizers. I like to, my ceviche is pretty good. And, yeah, all that good stuff.
I haven't had that in years. Hint, hint.
Years?
Well, it's been a while. I don't know that you made it.
I made it last year once. You know what? I think I took it to the Christmas party. But I don't think you attended.
Pass.
Pass.
Pass on the Christmas program.
The Christmas
the Christmas party, not the Christmas program.
You have to go to that.
No, I love the Christmas program. Yeah, very much looking forward to that. Well, all right, Mr. G, what else? You got any final words for us?
No, I just I'm glad that you finally had me on after all these episodes.
We had to create the groundwork before we had you.
I want to see if you had sustainability.
Jesus.
That's a joke, of course. That's one word that sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Boyd, the old chief business officer for Valverde District, he retired several years ago. I'll never forget what he told me when I was at Triple Crown. He, back then, like you said earlier, it's like about the API, the Academic Performance Index, and that's how the state measured schools. And they weren't expecting a whole lot of it out of us that first year. And I was thinking, I've done this a lot of times. I've been successful before as a principal, and then at Vista Verde Middle School for that year. And my scores came out. Our scores came out at Triple Crown. Like our first year, we had like a 750, which is 800 is like the highest.
Yeah.
No, it was the target was 800.
I think 900 was the highest.
It was a while back or whatever. Yeah. But anyhow, so we like 750, which is a very good number.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Boyd, he's this funny guy, old guy. He comes up and he goes, "Yeah, pretty good there, Mr. Tom." And I go, "Well, thanks, Mike." And he goes, "The key though is sustainability." And I looked at him. I go, "No problem." He goes, "Year after year. Okay, I get it, Mike. You want me to be consistent. That's
exactly.
another word. So I use that word affectionately towards you with this because I was thinking about coming here, like, why have I waited this long to come on this? Well, number one, he hasn't asked me, but two, I thought I'd make a joke and say, just to make sure that there's,
sustainability.
Well, no, my I don't know. I'm just glad to spend the time with you. I always enjoy seeing you and talking to you, and I value your friendship, and I value what you helped me do over the years, the last 8 and 10 years up until this year. And I'm glad to get to share with your listeners some of the things from I know that you had Echo on as an administrator, and she's kind of at the other end of the spectrum as far as number of years. And I mean, there's so many. I was thinking, like, should I write some things down and tell some funny stories? And will the folks get but I just want people to feel like, as long as your administrator, is one that really cares about kids, you're going to have a successful school, and you can tell those schools. And I love what I do. Yeah. And I drive to work. I'm not necessarily smiling, but I'm not frowning. That's for sure. Yeah. And that's the key.
You're the model admin.
Well, thank you. And I've actually had people say that, you should kind of train others or whatever, like you were talking about.
That's what I was referring to.
This mentor thing. And
yeah.
Just you just got to have the right vibe, I guess, to do it well.
You'd be good at it.
Thanks, brother.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on.
I loved it. Had a good time. Time has flown by.
I know. We'll get you on here again soon, Tom.
Peace.
All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for our show. I hope you guys got a lot out of that. I love myself some Tom Gronotte. Mr. G is an amazing principal. And hopefully that came through in the episode. He honestly is a great guy, and principals could learn a lot from him, and teachers are lucky when they get to work for him. So I was stoked to have him on the show. So thank you very much, Mr. G. What else? I got a lot of stickers. I got another order of stickers. If you guys would like a sticker, shoot me a private message on any of the social media. If you're not following the show already, just search Lazy Teacher Podcast and guarantee it's the first thing that's going to pop up. Give it a follow or give it a like. Give it whatever you want. Give it the thumbs up. Give it the middle finger. Doesn't matter to me. But if you private message me, I will send you out a sticker. I got plenty of them. Man, they look good too. This company that I get them from, they do an amazing job. They do a killer job. They're at stickermule.com, and I'm not getting paid to advertise for them. But they put out a super quality sticker, and it's indestructible. I've had it on my truck for, I don't even know, about a year now, and it hasn't come off yet, and it's not faded. It's amazing. So get yourself a free sticker. Send it out. Send me your address and all, and I will get you that. I was talking to Ryan from Classroom Brew, and we went to, he and I are really putting some thoughts into how to step up our podcast game with video. So that is in the near future, friends. I'm going video. I already have a YouTube channel, but really what it is just, it's the episode picture with, a sound wave going through it, and you can hear the podcast on YouTube. So if you wanted to put YouTube on and just listen to the show, you absolutely can. But I'm going to put in so much effort. That is I don't want to call it a New Year's resolution because I don't really believe in those, but that's my goal, is I want to put out a video for every podcast. I don't know why I don't. I'm recording. Why not put a video camera in the studio and record me, talking? I don't know. It just makes sense. And I want to do that. You guys get to see my ugly mug. You could see if I'm sitting in my pajamas or whatever I'm doing. Anyways, that's way off topic. All right, guys, I really was stoked to have Mr. G. Thanks for coming on the show, Mr. G. You my man, forever. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. Hope you got what you came for. See ya!